understand, but I don't wanna play your game.
The Earth is very flat.
What's going on, everybody? It is Tuesday, August 10th, 2021. This is Brandon, host of Brandon's Show. Hope everybody is having a fine morning, afternoon, or evening out there. It is hot as hell here, about 88 degrees Fahrenheit. That's your local weather on the fives. Anyway, yeah, I'll keep my day job. Don't worry. We got YouTube. Sounds good. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Bill G. P. Mars, Gadget Inspector, PJ Cruikshank, Carlos 888, Dan Morris, and Brandon Cook, page 42. Scrolling. And Awakening Flat Earth was first tonight. Congratulations, Awakening Flat Earth. Mark Beretta, what's going on, Mark? And yeah, it looks like that's about it. What's going on, guys? Everybody doing all right? 32 degrees. I think that's hot. I just don't have the Celsius scale in my head, but that sounds hot. I think that's hot. That's a hot one. Anyway, what we got going today? It is an open topic, open panel. We're going to start off with a moderated couple of hours plus, and end the show with a little less moderation. So that's the new game plan. We'll see how that goes. Tomorrow is flat Earth only at the beginning for the first hour, hour and a half. And then we'll open it up to the panel. So anybody planning on stopping by or joining the panel tomorrow, keep in mind that the first hour and a half or so is flat earthers only. 90s. Yeah, it's freaking hot. Anyway, let's go into Discord and see what's going on. We got a bunch of people in there.
Actually, that's true. That's why the testicles are on the outside of the body, because they need to be kept cooler. So that's why your testicles sweat, because they need to be kept cooler to produce sperm.
Ding, 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 ding.
We need cold liquid. Cold pack.
Do you have any proof for that?
Yeah, your sex organs are on the outside of your body. So your testicles are outside of your body to reduce the temperature because it's hot in there. So
if that's the case, we shouldn't. If that's the case, right? We shouldn't be covering up our penises. We should just walk around with our balls out.
This is why air are always recommended.
All right, I'm just joking, guys. Get back to
the Brandon, don't fuck this up. The live show right here. This isn't
Oh, for real. Brandon's live now. What's up, Brandon? Sorry.
What's up, guys? Yeah, the first thing I heard when I opened it up for the audience was about the cooling of testicles. That was pretty cool timing.
Yeah. You can talk about how it's hot as balls.
It is so hot. I was just saying that. It's like 88 degrees here, and
99 in Florida, and humid as all get up, man.
Yeah, it's like 110% humidity in New York somehow.
Holy
Same
crap.
here.
Somehow.
That means it's raining. It's like a shower in Illinois.
Yeah, I'm the same place as you are, Brandon. So yeah, I definitely can.
It was like
understand
someone
that.
flipped a switch this morning. I was sitting out in the garage, and just sitting there on my computer like I do half the time, and all of a sudden it was like someone just started turning the heat up. I had to go inside and drink some water because I just started sweating like a mug.
It's all that.
One might think.
It's all that hot air from all that shit the Globers be talking.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, one might think the sun's getting. One might think that the sun's actually getting closer and shit's getting hotter, but I have to check with B-Ball to see where my son's at right now because I'm looking at it and everything, and I think I know he's in Hawaii, so he knows better. He knows exactly where my son's at in Florida, even though he's 0 for 2.
Sounded like his glow prediction failed him last night.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Well, the first time he told me that the sun was like at 15 degrees and it was up in the sky. And I was trying to show it on the camera and I couldn't because there was too many people. A picture of it, posted it, and it was way above the tree line. Okay. Now this time he just just ignores it. Now this time, he tells me that it's 15.7 degrees and it's behind the tree line. And I like I said, I couldn't put it on camera, and I'm like, why should I take another picture? I put somebody else, and verified it with them. Like I said, I could have got my whole family out here. It's just how these people will argue anything. He's telling me where my son is at, and I'm looking at it. I'm looking at where my son's at, and he's telling me otherwise. It's like arguing with a donkey sometimes. That's why I say that.
So guys, based on our discussion last night, we're gonna have a little tighter moderation here for the first 2.5 hours of the show. Really trying to cut down on the over talking, interrupting, shouting, yelling matches that we tend to get into. It's like half the time we're like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Half the time we're really good, and half the time we're just unlistenable. So trying to cut down on that, and then the last half hour of the show, we'll have lighter moderation, and you guys can go crazy. I figure it's easier to start off controlled and get out of control than it is to start out of control and then get control. That's my thinking behind that.
Definitely.
Well,
Plus more people.
it's been nice talking to you guys. I'll see you later. No.
Plus more people wanted to hear the conversation happen, than a shit show. So let's give them what they want first.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone's being real chill, too.
We had a poll last night in the YouTube, and just basically asked the audience, do you want to hear, the craziness, or do you want to hear more controlled? It was worded differently, but it was a split. Oh, the third option was both, and it was a split. There was like 30% that wanted both, so there's definitely a market for our shit show, but I'm asking your guys' help to just minimize it to like half an hour, and I'm going to be moderating a little more strictly, not too strict, so you don't have to walk on eggshells, but when you start getting into that mode, I'll just start muting people. If I do happen to mute you, please don't take it personally. I will usually unmute you a few minutes later, unless I forget, and then there's a possibility you'll stay muted for days unless you bug someone, but it's not my intention to keep you muted. Sound all right, or you guys down with that, or?
Yeah, it sounds perfect. It sounds perfect. And now that you are mentioning it, now that you're going to actively go through, then hey, okay, he's been muted for a few minutes, and 9 out of 10, I go to talk up, and somebody else does. When I re-listen to the show, I'm like, God, I wish he'd have just muted me just for a second, even, and I would have shut up and let the other person talk. Maybe you need to just, little temporary mutes, man. Just when 2 people go to start, choose who the hell you want to hear, mute the other person, and then just mute them a few seconds later. And yeah, that should go smooth, man. I think, yeah, definitely. I'm with you.
Yeah. Everyone's been surprisingly chill today, like the whole day. So hopefully it just carries on through.
Yeah, I've been listening to the conversation this afternoon, and it's been pretty mellow.
Why not use the stage feature?
Yeah, you were telling me about that. Maybe you can message me and tell me about the stage feature. I'm not sure what it is. I didn't look into it, but.
Oh, okay.
It's super toxic. It's a trap. Brenda's trying to
It's not a trap.
It allows people to join anonymously, pretend they're going to say something. It just basically fills a text chat with trolls and.
No, it doesn't. What it does is it sets up an area where a lot of people can join and listen, while you have maybe just a few people who are interacting. That's what it is.
No,
and
that's okay. I don't want to shut
hand
it down. I want it to remain open. I just want us, as a group, to try to have more civil conversations. That's all.
Can I ask you a question, if you don't mind? Are your shows, is it usually going to be about 4 or 5 hours? I mean, I was just wondering.
No, the
Because
show's
sometimes
only
they all-
usually about 3 hours, from 5
Okay,
to
good. When
8.
you said something about 30 minutes, I was like, is 30 minutes enough to have like a really good? I could just see it's just getting into it, and they're like, 30 minutes has been done. Hey, there's a 30-minute mark. You know what I mean? Maybe not. I'm just giving a suggestion. Maybe not put a mark on it, but like everybody needs to moderate themselves a little bit better anyway. As human beings, I think we know that we're getting to that today. Kind of proved it. I think for a lot of people, and if we could do that more often, even if it's like maybe that first hour, that'd be great. But that's up to you, honey. This isn't my show.
Yeah, well, we'll
But
play it
thank you,
by ear,
Brandon.
as it progresses. Let's try, the last, we'll say 45 minutes, Stacy, and see how it goes. It's not like I shut the server down, after the show's done. And people keep talking, and we do run over sometimes. I'll just let it go, but we'll see how that goes.
The heated debates, because kind of like when the truth comes out and people start saying what they're really thinking, like where they think dog bones are clocks and science is a shoe.
Yeah, bones are clocks. That's how radioactive dating works.
Yeah, Crit. Everybody knows that.
Well, it's true.
You get a lot of shit for that, but I do understand what you're saying about the bones. If you have a predictable rate of decay and can prove that decay rate is constant, over a long period of time, you could, just like anything. I mean, it's essentially just like this battery makes this clock turn at this pace, and same thing, right? That's all you're doing is somehow creating a repetitive cycle to track time, right?
It's like an hourglass. There's only so many sand grains in the upper part of the hourglass, and that's how you tell time, by how much is left.
I have completely forgotten the context of your dog bone thing, but it is funny.
And that's how bones tell time, because there's only so many carbon-14 molecules in the bone at the time of death, and they decay, and then you can tell the time by how many are left.
Yeah.
If they decay?
Yeah, but it only goes back like, 50,000 years or something like that, right?
Yep, that's right.
What about before then, huh?
There's other methods, like potassium, argon, and uranium.
50,000 years?
Yeah, something like that.
What about what about the half-life?
Bones last 50,000 years?
What do you say, Don?
I got a question.
The half-life span is what, about 5,000, give or take?
Yeah, I would have thought uranium would be less than carbon, because it's... I don't know.
Uranium has a half-life in the millions of years.
Oh, boy.
I mean, these are all estimates, right? Or calculations based on short period of time.
No, they're not estimates.
They're not estimates.
Well, no, of course not. It's physics. You measure it.
When did they start?
When did what start?
Oh, okay.
Physics? Physics goes back hundreds of years.
God, Frank.
I'm not understanding the question. I'm not understanding the question.
It's like we're talking about isotopes also. The same conversation.
Let's get into reality here, man.
Listen, generally,
what I was thinking about doing.
Let's get into reality.
What I was thinking about doing here. Go ahead,
Hey, Brenda. Can you repeat history?
I was just gonna say it is kind of an estimate, because something that's carbon dated to 1,000 years.
Hang on.
Is usually about
1,100
years old.
Brenda, can you repeat history?
What's your question?
Can't. No, you can't. You can't repeat history.
So you don't have the cause to the effect then, huh? You don't have a controlled variable.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
What?
Brandon, I try to put this on reality, man. I have a bunch of pieces of styrofoam that are real sturdy and real light. What I was thinking about doing is getting a clock and or making a motor that spins like half as fast as the hour hand on a clock, and making a pendulum, like making the platform spin half the speed of the hour hand of a clock. Like a platform probably about 12 foot wide and 12 foot long, like a fairly big platform, and then putting a pendulum, like a version of a Foucault, but smaller, on that platform, and see if we can reproduce any of the any deviation. In my opinion, it's just going to be random.
Test,
Like it is in real life. What do you think?
you want to test Foucault's pendulum? Just get a large weight and a very long string or wire, right?
Yeah, I've done
and
that.
Test it.
Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah.
I have it right here. In fact, I have it right here, and I have the place I tied it to, and I tried it, and it varies. It's never consistent ever.
How long is the string you're using?
About 40 feet, maybe 45 tops.
No, there might be a problem with how you have it set up. However, why does it vary at all?
That's a great question. Have we ever gotten an answer to that?
Because the Earth is rotating.
Oh, Earth's a ball, of course. That's the cause of everything.
All they have is effects. All they have is effects, and they can't prove the causes to them. They have guesses as to what the causes are, but they can never scientifically prove them.
Isn't it funny that all of their guesses come back to Earth being a ball? That's what I find.
They're not guesses. It's
Or not
guesses.
Pretty amazing.
They really come
Physics
back to
isn't
not
guessing.
flat.
It's not guessing. So if the Earth is flat and stationary, a pendulum should never, ever, ever change the plane of its swing.
Really?
Never.
How did you determine that? Whoa.
Sorry,
Go
what
on.
happens if the electromagnetic field of the Earth is moving? Not the Earth itself. The Earth can be flat, but the electromagnetic field of the Earth is moving. Now, can you tell me that you've isolated that it isn't? Remove that from any experiment that you've used with a pendulum.
You
just
can.
isolated that the Earth is moving and not the electromagnetic field of the Earth.
Yeah, you just use a weight that isn't affected by electromagnetism.
If I hang anything from my doorway and just hang it there and leave it sit still, it doesn't ever start moving. Brenda, when does that happen? Show it.
And let me say this. Hold on.
Hold on. Jedi,
Jedi,
were you satisfied with the answers she gave you?
No, not particularly. I mean, yeah, you basically the answer I got from Brenda was don't use something that's magnetic, but we have to understand ferromagneticity as well. And obviously, this is one of the things that I want to point out, right? Even within your model, the electromagnetic is much more stronger than the gravitation, right? It's much, much, much stronger. We have an electromagnetic field of the Earth. Have you removed it to say that it is just a spin of the Earth that is making pendulum do shit?
Yeah, if you remove the electromagnetic field from the Earth, the Foucault's pendulum would give you the exact same results.
Wait a minute, Brenda. How about a knuckleball?
And wouldn't you to prove that, wouldn't you?
Drop a
Because the weight is not affected by magnetism.
Brenda, when something's moving, it wants to deviate. Like if I throw a ball straight forward with no spin at all, then there's no way to predict which way it spins.
No.
Same thing if you drop a ball from a tower, it's going to deviate. It's going to be basically like a knuckleball. You're not going to be able to predict which way it deviates. They've already demonstrated that from the
So that's wrong. When things are moving, they don't deviate unless there's a force applied to them.
So, Brenda, can you block the magnetic field or the electromagnetic field as Jedi?
Yes.
Okay. How did you do that?
You would do that by using materials that aren't affected by magnetism.
Okay. How about the effects of the sun and the moon? The effects they have on objects on Earth. How did you block
What
for that?
effect would they have? You mean the gravity?
Sure, if you want to call it, we'll call it gravity for the sake of this conversation. Sure.
I think the gravitational force on a 10-pound weight hanging from a wire is probably not even measurable.
It's
From the
certainly
sun.
measurable,
From
Brenda. I don't think that's a very honest answer. If you think about
honestly,
what the Foucault is intended to do is to transfer a very, very small force into a physical object, into physicality, right?
No.
So how much is the force that moves the Foucault pendulum then?
It doesn't move.
So it doesn't process.
It does precess. There's no force acting on it. It's conserving its momentum.
I got
The
that
Earth
story,
is
but in your
rotating-
frame of reference, the Foucault pendulum is moving, correct?
Yes,
When it
in
processes.
in our frame of reference, but from the frame of reference of the pendulum, it is not moving. This
Well,
is Coriolis.
All we
It is-
is an effect we witness within our frame of reference.
Yeah. So if I have a drone,
And that presents itself
pointing at
as the weight processing, correct?
It appears to us to precess because the Earth is turning
No.
underneath
You don't have to
the
go into the whole
pendulum.
story. I need you to acknowledge my point that the only thing you're measuring is the precession of that weight within your frame of reference.
Yes.
None of this other stuff you're saying is what we're observing. This is not the phenomena or the effect that we're observing.
Yeah, the precession demonstrates that the Earth is rotating. On
Okay.
a
All right,
non-rotating
Brenda.
Earth,
We're
there'd
done,
be
Brenda.
no
We're done.
precession.
We're done. You're not being honest.
I am being honest. This is the
Yeah, I know.
physics. This is totally it.
Brenda, if I have a drone pointed at the pendulum, right at it, the same way it's going back and forth, and I go back and forth with the drone, just back and forth, pointed right at it, and I'm standing in between them both, okay, and I wind up looking straight at the pendulum to my left, and to my right, I see the drone, and the drone doesn't move, I don't move, but the pendulum moves. So how could you say anything's moving beside? I mean, it's got to be the pendulum moving because the drone didn't change angle. I didn't change angle, but the pendulum did.
It's called frames of reference.
Yeah,
It
and in
means
our
from
frame
the
of
pendulum.
reference, the pendulum moves, and you are already
Yes,
begging the question
I
when you
agree.
say that the pendulum is not moving and it's caused by the rotation of the Earth. You're already begging the question. We want to start from ground
It's
zero. You
just-
have this effect. You're witnessing this effect. You're observing it. Now, what we see and what we measure is the precession of this weight, which would
Yes.
be a force.
No.
So things move without force.
Coriolis is a pseudo force. It is the apparent deflection of an object due to
Why
the
do you guys
rotation.
even-
Tell me when I measure a pseudo force, how is that different than measuring a force?
Because there is no force acting directly on the weight of the pendulum. It's simply preserving its momentum. It's plain.
Does anybody want to try to take an honest crack at this?
Yeah, sure, Albo.
I will, but I will also back my stuff up that I said earlier about things being magnetic. All right, so Brenda, sorry, I just going to really jump this in, otherwise I'm going to miss my point, but I do apologise. Brenda brought up the point earlier of making the pendulum out of something that wasn't magnetic, say not iron or copper or something like that, right? What we also have to understand is even things like paper and cloth, right, are said to be weakly magnetic because of the idea of how everything is constructed. Atoms, negative, positive charges, and all that lovely stuff, right? So even things like paper and cloth are said to be weakly magnetic. So if we have an electromagnetic field of the Earth, and we have things on the Earth like paper and cloth that's said to be weakly magnetic, then you damn well better get rid of the electromagnetic field of the Earth to show that that isn't the thing that's having any effect on it. It's actually the spin of the Earth. Shit, you can make that pendulum out of paper for all I care. It's weakly magnetic.
So what was the experiment done with Brenda that you said that they covered something up, right? You covered it up. Can you show me what they covered it up with?
I muted Brenda, but I'm happy to unmute her.
That's okay. You don't have to either.
Yep, I'm on board with you when it comes to that, Jedi. 100%.
Shaiki,
So I was
do you
gonna say
understand the
one
argument that I was
interesting
trying to
thing.
make, Shaiki? Because I didn't even really get to the argument.
Wait. What about? I thought things like wood and paper were diamagnetic.
Were you asking about diamagnetic or
No,
diamagnetism?
I thought that most things, most matter, non-purists were diamagnetic, which actually says that they'll repel a magnetic force rather than
Right.
be attracted
So what happens with a diamagnetic material when it repels a magnetic force? What is the result effect?
Still motion.
It repels. It's electrons. All right, let me get it real quick.
Yeah, but diamagnetic does not repel each other. Like a lead ball will not repel a lead ball unless the electrostatics are set up a certain way.
True.
So when they say diamagnetic, they try and confuse you.
But there's also paramagnetism as well. If there's a magnetic field introduced between them, right?
Right, and they test these items. They put them on what? They put them on little real light pieces of styrofoam normally, and they take a really strong neodymium magnet, and they take all these elements. They get them as pure as they can, usually like 99.9, but in some cases only like 99.5. And they put a real strong neodymium magnet next to them, and they show how fast they are attracted to the magnet on water, or how much they repel from the magnet. But that does not mean they do this with other items. That's just a magnet, you know. Electrostatics is a little different, and I don't think it's fully understood.
Yes, it is. It is very different. It is not diamagnetism or paramagnetism. Electrostatics is different.
Because you take glass, like glass, rub it on silk. You know, it's going to react different if you rub paper on it or if you rub silk on it. It all has to do with motion. And in my opinion, it's still science, still some science to be done with it. That's why I'm doing this Cavendish.
Well, glass is diamagnetic. It will repel and go straight. So
yeah,
it's like
I agree with that. But my point is like if you rub silk on a glass rod, like you get a really interactive, you know, effect. And if you then if you just rub paper on it and shit, different things react differently. And that's what, to me, is not fully known, the different reactions we get from the different materials reacting on each other. We know that if the electrostatics is all grounded, okay, to the same polarity, then we know lead attracts lead. We know if they're not, we know lead repels lead, okay? That's all the Cavendish really taught me. And we know that sand in bags doesn't do shit, doesn't repel or attract lead. So there's so many more things to learn. It's just, there's so many different items, elements, compounds to be learned from this shit, man.
Well,
so I plan on doing.
If I can, I'd like to make a great point. Actually, lightning is constant. It's a natural phenomenon. It's constantly occurring all over the world. That also discharges and recharges. It can charge things on the ground to be positive. So up to like 200 kilometers, give or take. I believe I can get you some information on that if you want to look at that. But lightning is definitely an interesting phenomenon.
I agree. You know what I did? I made a little video with to try and respond to Blue Marble Science, showing them that if I take these lead balls, okay, and I hung them on a plastic ladder, a fiberglass ladder, and except the steps might have been like aluminum, so I covered them up with cardboard and had the string and I had the copper wire, okay, buried into the ground. So I had it grounded, and I had them, two of them grounded together, two of them grounded together. So I had two separate reels, okay, and I was showing him that when they get close to each other, my voltmeter shows current. Current is produced in between these two lead balls when you get them up close to each other. And when you start moving them apart, the current drops. So this is actual current drawn from the ground. Now, granted, it wasn't much, but it was easily measurable. And so there's things to be, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they know most of this stuff, but there's other things to be learned as far as, you know, the ground has a charge. The atmosphere has a charge. Yep. They don't like to consider this shit in any of their testing. They vary all these electrostatics, and then when they get it just right, oh, there's gravity. You know, when the whole time electromagnetism or electrostatics is the variable. You feel me?
Well, I don't know, Brian. I mean, is there an experiment that can point to electrostatics as the cause of the precession of the Foucault pendulum? Because I feel like I haven't seen it if it's out there, and it's the same thing as them claiming gravity without experimental results. Not gravity, sorry, rotation.
Well,
I'd love to see it. I'd love somebody to come up with that data, or try an experiment.
Yeah, they need to combine them like Coolum did the experiment, you know, with the same style of equipment as Cavendish. That wasn't something they invented for G. In my opinion, they had a number they were looking for G, and they just kept doing shit until they got that number.
What if you?
Here's my thing, okay? So electrostatic is a lot. It's like 10 times 6 to the freaking, man, I forgot. I have to look it up, but it's way stronger than gravity. But I mean, they're similar forces, man. They're both, I don't know. I think one of them's real and one of them is outcrop of the other. In my opinion, the gravity is just a type of variation of electrostatics. I think that's what I'm going to try and show. But if I get shown otherwise, then I'm going to be a fan of gravity, straight up. If I can prove to myself that it's gravity, but I'm pretty sure it's the electrostatics, because that's all I ever see being varied, ever.
Just as you finish your, sorry, my friend, just as you finish that, and I appreciate that, I just wanted to finish off my point because somebody brought up it. Pendulum's been swung inside Faraday cages. I just very quick kind of research into that. Yeah, Faraday cages do intercept and stop electromagnetic frequencies, but unfortunately, it don't stop the electromagnetic field of the Earth because compasses still work in them. So you can't remove the electromagnetic field of the Earth even within a Faraday cage. So no experiment has been done with a pendulum inside a Faraday cage that's removed the electromagnetic field of the Earth. Sorry, guys, that's just.
Can you just use?
That's a good point.
Just
No, however,
Go ahead, Branch.
A compass.
Okay, you could just do 2 experiments, right? One with a paramagnetic weight and one with a diamagnetic weight. And if it is electromagnetism, you should see a difference.
Yeah,
you do.
A compass. You use a compass to see if the Earth magnetic field is moving, and no, it's not.
Yeah, but
No.
electrostatics is different, Chikey. Electrostatics is not the same. If you take a balloon that's floating in air,
Sorry,
Brian, we're talking about electromagnetic field.
It's in constant motion, and it also doesn't always go north.
What do you mean
This is why we
constant
have-
motion? It's pointing to the same direction all the time.
No, it's not. It's actually
What do you
moved.
mean? It's not.
Can I explain them?
Yeah,
So
go
the
ahead,
best way if we
Jedi.
all understand- That's the best way if we all understand a weather map. Now we understand the high and low pressures, those circles, right? Now we have those areas of circles that kind of conjugate in areas around the Earth, you know, because of mountains and shit, because of ores and stuff. So yeah, the electromagnetic field of the Earth is in constant motion and is not perfect, right? It looks a little bit like a weather map that is in constant motion.
What
Yeah,
you
Trike, you
bring
need to-
out weather when we talk about magnetic fields and how to measure it?
Can I say something real quick, Brian? You can look at the F1 Tesla, F71 Tesla meter and F41. It's not affected by temperature, and it measures in octants or Z, Y, X axis, the strength thereof. Look into that. Just check it out. They're expensive though, but just check it out.
Chuck, at the beginning of the show when I was talking about that, you guys, the globalists, sometimes don't even know their own model. This magnetic pole that you say doesn't move is moved about 9 miles per year up until like the 1990s. Then it started moving 30 miles per year. So you don't know your own model, dude. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, we're talking about during the Cavendish experiment, Crit.
Yeah, but you're talking about this magnetic field that
During
doesn't
the
move. It
Cavendish
does.
experiment, did it move? And
It does move, yes.
in angles compared to how much the Cavendish moved in angles.
The other thing that's interesting
Tell me
is
what's varied.
the other
Like,
thing
tell
that's
me what's
interesting.
varied in the
Brian,
Cavendish
1 second,
experiment.
Brian. The other thing that's interesting is if you can do the experiment in different parts of the world, it'll be different, right? Like if you do it on the equator, it won't rotate at all.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
is interesting.
probably.
I find that really fascinating, and I can see where
Yeah,
that
what-
would lead one to
Oh, sorry.
believe that there's a spherical shape, but it hasn't been shown experimentally.
Yeah, what is the
Chuck,
miles per hour of
I
these
really-
Cavendishes?
sorry,
How
I
quick
do
is it?
do apologise, guys. Chikey, you're not going to want me to read this stuff to you about how the electromagnetic field of the Earth moves. If you're going to say that it don't, mate, it moves
Yeah,
hundreds
go
of
ahead,
ten
read it to me. Read it to me.
influences and stuff. Like, you just got to read within your own model, my friend. Yeah, it moves. Please don't say it. Don't. It does. Sorry, guys, to interrupt, but it's a really fascinating argument.
When you say it moves, are you talking about it moves through the years or it's in constant motion?
There's loads of different movements that are attributed to like the electromagnetic field of the Earth, divided down into hundreds of thousands of years and daily. So
Quick question: Is it moving with the sun or against the sun?
Again, this is something else that doesn't seem to be
perpendicular.
Well, check this out real quick, guys.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. Jedi was just answering the question. Let him answer.
This is something that is often forgotten about, right? Even within their model, the sun has an electromagnetic influence. Everything does. So when they have pendulums, they literally forget the electromagnetic influence of the sun. So it'd be interesting to do these things at night, right?
Absolutely. And I've never heard it brought up. I've never heard it addressed how they controlled for whatever force the sun is. You saying it's electromagnetic. I'm going to take your word for it.
Hey, what isn't the blue marble do all his experiment at night?
Have you ever done it in the cold compared to the heat?
Yes, blue marble actually has hour upon hour, and it's very boring to watch. But the mass just sits there all through the entire video.
I will second that, but he's got some examples.
Wait, I missed the end of what you said. Hold on, Brian. I missed the end of what you said, Left Lane. You said the mass just sits there?
Yeah, he's got video of the mass sitting idle without moving at all throughout the day, and you hear people say cars driving by will affect it and this and that, storms overhead and such, but he's got video of it sitting in neutral and it not moving for hours upon hours.
Interesting. Go ahead, Brian.
I'd like him to show me that. Every time I seen him start the video, it was like almost down to very nothing. But as far as the laser goes, it's like barely fucking moving. I'd like him to show me it just sitting there for hours and hours. I mean, I ain't saying you can't.
It's on his video.
I'm not saying you can't, but I missed that episode. And one other thing, Blue, I like what he did. I like what he built and all that. I just don't like that he stopped with repeating some shit somebody already did, and he kept changing the wires till he got the oscillation that he wanted. Okay. Now, to me, that's varying everything until you get the result you want. If you want to call that science, that's fine, but that's not science, bro. He's got a machine where he can vary so much stuff. The first time he varied something after it was built and completed to his satisfaction, then it stalled. The sandbags, they stalled.
Right. That's a null experiment right there. You can't even add that conclusion to anything.
So I've got another question about the magnetic field. Does it have directionality, Jedi? Meaning, is that force directed in certain directions, or how does that work?
It can.
It can? Okay.
Well, look, let me say, y'all might be tired of hearing this, but I want to drive it home. Like every time something went wrong, which was during his entire setup, the wire was wrong. He changed the size of the wire, never much, but he changed the material of the wire. Okay, then he changed the hooks, or he used brass hooks. Then he put copper foil. And then with the sandbags, he's saying that it was the bags they were in. Every time something went wrong, it was electrostatics. And then when everything got set up just right, then gravity. My point is, I hope y'all realize what I'm saying here. What I'm saying here is that everything he varied, okay? And they'll even talk about it. They'll say, oh, well, the electrostatics was making it move the wrong way or making it stall or all this. So everything they varied was electrostatic. And then when everything got just right electrostatically, then they say, whoop, and there's gravity.
No, that's not true. That's not true at all. He used different wire in his torsion balance.
Doesn't matter.
Trying to get the right degree of sensitivity. Either it was too sensitive and the thing wouldn't
care about your sensitivity.
Hold on, let
Howard finish.
Yeah, thank you. And if you use too stiff a wire, you wouldn't get a significant or a measurable response. Yeah, so he found a wire that acted the way he wanted it to, and that didn't have anything to do with electrostatics. It just had
That's
to
what
do
I
with
just
the
said, Howard.
wire.
Howard, that's what I just said. The wire he changed the wires to get the oscillation exactly how he wanted it to get the numbers he wanted achieved.
It wasn't about getting the numbers he wanted to achieve. He wanted to get it where it was easy to read, I guess is what you would say.
Wait a what? Wait a you said two things, Howard. You said he wanted to change the sensitivity, and then you said he wanted to get it to where it was easier to read. Explain to me, are those two the same thing, or?
Well, I mean, you know, if it's oscillating a whole lot, then you know you have trouble getting the thing to stabilize where you can actually take
gravity.
Hold on, Brian.
But you get it in a balanced situation. The oscillation times, and I don't know that much about it, but I mean you can still get the readings. He took readings throughout all of this trial and error, and he finally found the material that performed, you know, proper. But he's got numbers all throughout all of.
How
his
did he know
experiments.
what? How did he define performing proper?
Brandon.
Howard.
Yeah, Brandon, can I just?
Well, hold on. Let me answer my question. How did he define proper performance? What do you mean? He changed the variables until it performed properly.
Not performed properly, but efficiently, I guess would be the proper word to use.
What do you mean by efficiently? You just got some weights hanging on a torsion bar, and then you measure the effect, right?
Well, if the torsion balance, if it's too sensitive, it's very difficult to get a set of readings. If it's too stiff, it changes. You know,
listen, y'all. Listen, it changes the speed of the oscillation, the rate of oscillation, which is used to formulate big G. So what Brandon's saying that I don't know why you ain't understanding is what is proper. How does he know the exact numbers he's looking for? The oscillation rate, the timing of the oscillation rate. How do you know what's proper? Because it's the number you're searching for. That's how.
Brian, if he there's another variable, I think if he changes the wire, right? And that changes the speed, is there an offsetting variable?
Yeah, that throws off big G. You will not get big G if it's oscillating, if the rate is too fast or too slow.
Yeah. I'm not sure what's going on here. We'd have to see the details, but
I think big G is like 10 to the it's 10 times 6 to the 27th or some shit I want to say. Anyway, he uses the oscillations to calculate. Basically, you know, he won't say directly, but yeah, to wind up with the calculation for big G, he's using the rate of oscillation. That's what the laser beam is doing. He's timing it. He's measuring it, the distance, and the time that it takes.
But what I'm saying is, if he changed the wire to slow it down, then it takes more force to move the. And I think this was what Howard was saying. It takes more force to move the weight. So that should also be included in the calculation. I don't know the calculation well enough to know how much of a difference that's going to make, because he's going to factor in the resistance of the wire and the speed of the weight. So I don't know, Brian. He may not be, you know, monkeying around to change things until he gets the effect he wants. He might truly be just trying to get it to go slower so that he can measure the force, because that's all he's interested in, whether it goes fast or slow. He's trying to measure the force by the oscillations, right?
Well, if he was recommended a wire, okay, and he did not get the proper timing, okay, with the mass that he's using, okay, then he changes wires, okay, to something somebody else recommended. He's obviously shooting for a target time. You with me on that?
I'm not sure it's so
yeah,
obvious.
but can I get to my question, please, again? Because it's pretty important, I think. Because this is a Cavendish experiment, right? They call it an experiment. But did Cavendish change his materials to get the results that he got?
He did,
He
not
did
use
change the
copper foil.
material,
He had
yeah.
it-
He monkeyed around with a few variables.
Only flat earthers have the results in first try. Scientists take time until they get their setup right.
No, scientists. Go ahead.
Well, all through his trials and tribulations on Blue's experiment, he was getting the same number. It was just, he was increasing his accuracy, his precision as he went.
Okay. So when his sandbag stalled completely, did he get the same number, Howard, or are you being dishonest? When his sandbag stalled 100%, or
the problem.
Hold on. When his lead, when he said, "quote," at this point, I have absolutely positively proven that at that point in my experiment, I've absolutely positively proven that lead repels lead. At that point,
he did not. That is inaccurate, Brian. He did not say that. He said
how about this?
jokingly.
I'm going to post
he
it.
said it jokingly in a passive comment, and
No,
you've
he
taken
was
it
not
out of
joking.
context.
He was
He
not
absolutely
joking.
was. He
I
absolutely
swear
was.
to God on my life, he was not joking. It was
do?
because he had to add foil.
The whole thing, and he's coming down to one offhand comment.
If something has a charge and it's the same, and there's two spheres and they both have charge, they're going to repel.
Yeah.
Well, here's
grounded.
Here's the thing he ran into.
Yeah,
Okay,
right.
the
Ground his ass.
The thing that he ran into using the sand in the plastic bags, he did discover that the plastic bags were creating a static that interfered with the results. And he documented, he showed every minute of it. He didn't hide anything. And you just have to go back and watch what he did.
Howard, that's what I said, brother. That's what I said. And when the lead repels lead, he blame that on electrostatics also. And
Lead
he
didn't
wasn't
repel
joking.
lead.
He added
Lead
foil.
attracted lead.
Hold
Yeah,
on. He
yeah, he
wasn't
did
joking
not.
when he said that, people. I promise you, I got it. It documented in my videos. It's on his channel. He, after that, added copper foil to half of the fucking setup. Was that a joke too, Howard?
No, he did that to increasingly isolate any static, interference.
That was my point. Every time something went wrong, it was electrostatics. And when he got everything right, it was gravity. Only thing he varied was electrostatic.
Oh, fuck off.
Listen, Brian.
This is a very
Came in just in time, didn't you?
This is a very amazing interpretation of an experiment. Basically,
Chill, put something in your mouth to keep yourself quiet.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's change the subject. This seems like this is getting a little out of hand. I mean, Brian, maybe Blue is doing something wrong. Maybe not even on purpose. He doesn't realize that he's putting bias into it. Maybe he's not.
Maybe we should ask Blue to come in and
based
talk
on
about it.
Yeah, we don't. I don't want to sit here and.
Yeah, all you just ask him what he thinks about flat earthers. That's all.
Why listen to people who actually know what they're talking about when you guys can make it up?
Before we change, wait, Brian, I want to ask you a question, Brian.
Oh, that's very funny.
Electricity, somehow. You just
Right.
totally.
After all the measures against electrostatics were taken.
There's no such thing.
How can it be
No such
electrostatics?
There's no such
Okay,
thing.
if I hang a copper foil in the air and I mount a lead ball, yeah.
I don't want to talk about Blue's experiment anymore unless we have something to present, because we're talking about some other guy's thing, and we can have him in here and ask him questions about it. But even
if you want to present my video, man, it's a short video where I showed the current being drawn from the ground. My last point, and I'll leave it at this, is if you put lead foil up in the air, okay, you can tape it to a wall, you can hang it from a drone, and then you mount lead to the into the ground, you will get a current in between the two when they get close enough. It's all electric, period. They don't like it, but it's a fact. I showed it. They tried to say my wires were touching the ladder. Who cares if my wires were touching the ladder, which they weren't? The whole point in the experiment was to make sure the wires were not touching the ladder, which was the point of the cardboard. And that was their only excuse, and it was invalid.
Okay. All right. Anyway, so even if we do show an effect between two objects, so what? You have not isolated the cause of that effect, that's what it's always going to come back to. It's always going to come back to that because it is a flawed experiment. No matter how many times you repeat it, no matter how many different materials you used, it is a flawed experiment.
Yes, sir. 100%.
So anyway. Yeah, if you guys want me to, I don't know if he'll come on, Blue, but I'll ask him if you guys are interested.
I'm interested in the Earth curve stencil. Does any of them have one of those?
Yeah, I think they do. What you do is you take straight line and then you say it's curved, and that voila. So just get a straight ruler and then
Okay,
curve it.
so I got a straw that's in my soda. It's pretty straight. I mean, it's straight. I mean, it's damn straight, but it's curved, right?
Yep.
Gravity. Okay. Now, right? Now I get it. Now it's a globe. I see.
Look at something straight, okay? Find the straightest thing that you can, and then convince yourself that it's curved, and you're done. That's it. That's all you need to do. That's the key to it all.
Okay. That's a cool religion. I like it.
Yeah. It's pretty simple. That's why it caught on so well. Hey, I wanted to show you guys something. We can talk about this or something else, but I thought this was kind of cool. I'd never noticed this before. This is NASA's website, Pluto New Horizons. And it's got some interesting pictures on here. Pictures with quotation marks. Particularly this one of Pluto. This is, the coloring is artificial, but I believe everything else is claimed to be what it looks like. Pluto looks like. And I never noticed it before. This definitely looks like Pluto the dog. And yeah, you could make an argument that that is pareidolia, but it also looks like a damn heart. Like that. You guys ever notice that? And they actually call it the heart.
Everybody's noticed that. It's the most famous thing about Pluto. It's got a heart on it. Jesus
actually, no, I'd never noticed that before. So not everyone has noticed that.
Everybody's been on the front page of newspapers saying the heart of Pluto.
This is ridiculous. Is this like one of those Easter eggs that they put in there for you guys who know that the Earth is or space is fake? So you guys can wink at each other.
Every article on Pluto since those pictures has talked about the heart on it. My God.
Okay, well I just noticed it. I don't keep track of fucking Pluto news.
You're behind almost half the population of the planet.
Yeah. Okay.
We've all been commenting on about it for years. The heart on there. It's famously called her heart.
What about the fact that it looks like Pluto the dog outlined here?
That isn't actually the best angle for it. There's an angle where it's slightly rotated more than that, where the heart image is even more noticeable.
Brandon, I'm gonna send you something in a DM right now. We might have talked about this before, but
yeah, they told the artist, can you do that again, but tilt it some.
Oh yeah, somebody just put it in general.
The one
Sorry,
where Pluto,
what were you saying, Chad?
I said they had the artist say, "Can you do that again, but paint it a little bit more tilted to the side."
Exactly. Now that's a pretty dang close likeness of this dog here.
Oh, jeez.
What are the odds? What are the odds that this frickin' one of 9
Pluto
planets that happen to be named Pluto has a shape on it that is easily recognizable as this dog? What are the odds of that? Doesn't that seem like a weird coincidence at least?
No.
Let me tell you, Walt was in on it with these motherfuckers. All right, he's part of the elite. We got pictures of him and all the crew of the Apollo mission. He probably helped fake the moon landings. He had the studios and shit. He used to shoot propaganda films for America. He's in on it with these guys.
So he's in on the fact that Pluto, billions of miles away, I think it's billions, has got that rock formation on it.
Looks like it has Pluto the dog on it. Yeah.
My God.
Well, he's
You are
dead,
desperate
just so you know.
people.
I don't know if you heard, but Walt Disney's dead.
Maybe.
You're talking about he's frozen. They got him like some sort of cryogenic sleep.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're right.
Like in Demolition Man.
Huh.
He's waiting for the rise of the Fourth Reich.
He only froze his head though, right?
Well, I thought that one never ended. And that one's still going on?
Here's him and Von Braun together.
Sick as thieves.
Well, gee whiz.
Yeah, he was in on it with the moonlight. Yep, there's a picture of him. Who was the science fiction writer?
Arthur C.
The guy
Clarke.
that did.
Arthur C. Clarke.
No, the guy that did the movie. The other movie
Stanley
guy.
Kubrick.
Stanley Kubrick.
Kubrick. There's a picture of Disney and Kubrick, and I caught some NASA
Everybody
people.
wanted to be involved. At that time, it was the thing that was sexy and sciencey, and everybody wanted to be involved in the space program. I mean,
Always
what
an
the
excuse,
hell?
Rumpus.
Oh my
Who
God.
cares?
Jesus Christ. Everybody wanted to associate themselves with NASA and the space program, and Disney made animations about it. So of course he wanted to be involved in it.
Oh, you mean like the
a-
ones that they show us?
Oh my God. It's like, I mean, at the moment we got Virgin Atlantic, Virgin Galactic and its sort of business, and everybody tries to get sort of involved with that, except that NASA was the space program, particularly as part of the Cold War. It was the whole country at that time wanted to be part of the space program. They wanted to watch telly about it all the time. That's why Star Trek happened on the TV. Everything was about space and the Cold War. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they were laying it pretty thick. You're right about that. Go ahead, Farming Ganja.
Unbelievable.
Oh, I was just saying, look how far we've gotten in 60 years.
Yeah, we
so
don't have
far.
a Cold War now, and the US is no longer spending 5% of its
there's a Cold
GDP
War.
on space.
We just had a 2-week-long backpatting session over doing the same thing we did in 1959. That's how.
Yeah,
far
when
we've
it comes
gotten.
to human.
Yeah,
When
but
it
that was
comes
a
to-
result
when
of
it
a
comes to
huge
human
expenditure.
space travel-
5% of GDP of the US was spent on doing that sort of thing.
Next. When it comes to human space travel, we've devolved. We've gotten worse at human space travel.
Well, we haven't, because the amount of money
have.
spent on doing the Virgin thing was tiny in comparison to what was spent on the X-15 program.
All right, 50 years ago, we sent a man to the moon. Since then, we've only gotten 250 miles. So,
Yeah. But there's no
supposedly.
reason to. There's no incentive.
But we haven't gotten better. We've gotten worse, right?
No,
Have we
haven't
gotten
got-
better at human space travel?
No, there was an incentive to get to the moon because of the Cold War. Then that's
You're
why
never
the US
getting
is
there.
spending 5% of GDP. It's now spending, what is it? 1/10 of that on the space program now. So you get the
Keynesian
small
economics
results.
doesn't work. So you're
I mean, it's like
trying to
Concord.
tell me that NASA is withholding manned spaceflight until they get a bigger cut of the action. They have to get
If
their
they had
5%
10
cut.
times, if they had 10 times the money, there is
Okay, so
no
they need a
doubt
bigger
NASA back
cut.
on the moon.
They,
It's like
but they're looking for a
Concord.
payday. They want a cut.
Don't
Like a
shut
mob.
up
They
about
don't want
the
it. What are you
cut.
talking about, you moron? They didn't
No.
ask to be cut. They're constantly
cut
asking
of
for
the
money, and the
action, dude.
government doesn't want to give it to them.
Trump
My
asked the director of
God!
NASA how much
All right,
money
let's
it would
not
take to
devolve.
Who can you be?
Let's not
The director
devolve.
of NASA said no amount of money will get them to the moon right now. The director of NASA
If
told
you
Trump
gave him
that there's no
if
money.
you gave NASA 10 times the amount of money it's got at the moment, they would no doubt be on the moon immediately. They
That
could.
is not what the director of NASA said, Rumpus. Please allow me to
The director of
respond.
NASA is a political hack.
Excuse
What do
me,
you expect
Shill.
him to say?
Shill, allow me to respond.
We're missing something here. What temperature?
Can I respond,
can-
please?
What
Okay.
temperature can they
Trump asked on national TV, asked the director of NASA how much money it would take for them to go to the moon, and during his administration or immediately after, and he said, "There's no amount of money you could give me for us to get to the moon in the
In
next
what
10
time
years."
frame?
10 years.
The next bollocks. There's no doubt about it. If they were given 10 times the amount of money, they could get to the moon. If that's what, yeah, they
Happened
could
last
do that.
time within 10 years.
Rumpus knows all about NASA and its budgetary requirements, and I love how Shill is telling us that the director of NASA is a political hack. The two guys here in Discord on the internet seem to be more involved and more in the know about NASA and its budgetary requirements and its PR campaign than the actual people in
more
NASA
than you
do. I
do,
love
honestly.
it.
We know more than you do.
Oh, and when you call him a political hack, it's a different story, though, right? Because you're
Yeah,
you're
write a
in the
check.
know.
I
you
think
think it's all
also
about
the
money, write
NASA
a
guy
check.
wanted to avoid showing that he was dead keen on going to the moon because I think they regarded that as a wasted mission. So I think he was keen on presenting himself as just concentrating on earthbound space stuff. They didn't. They were worried about appearing to just gobbling up money to go to the moon.
Put your money where your mouth is. Write a check.
Yeah, you know his motivation.
They don't have the money. They give them the money, you idiot. The government funds NASA.
Hey, Rumpus.
They can't do it. They have to take the money from the government. If the government only gives them one.
You're part of their private club, and you get CC'd in on all the emails from Rumpus. Is that how you know all these secret backroom deals that are going on in NASA?
He's gone. I muted him.
Yeah, these guys talk about it's just a matter of money. Write a check. You know, like put your money where your mouth is. Tell Americans need to like spend more. The fiscal deficit is out of control. It's absolutely out of control.
What do you mean it's out of control? How much of the budget does NASA get?
D-Mock, I think your mic's low or something. I can't hear you at all.
What's the temperature to the moon? I can tell you this, okay? NASA's the budget of space is more than all the entertainment combined, including home video, video games, music, television. No. Space is bigger business.
NASA gets more than
$62 million a day right now. I think it's up to $62 million.
How much of the federal budget is NASA?
Yeah, I'll tell you. NASA gets more than all space agencies combined.
How
they
much
don't even
of the
equal
federal
another
budget
NASA.
does NASA
Okay,
get?
good. You got to listen to the answer.
Listen to the answer.
Okay, so
No,
number
listen to the
one.
question.
Listen, this is the answer.
The answer to the question is a percentage.
Okay, all other space agencies combined don't even equal the spending of one more NASA.
Percentage
and then,
of
listen,
the national budget is NASA.
Listen to what he's saying. He's giving you an answer.
Yeah, but he's not giving you the answer in the percentage.
Yeah, listen, the percentage is not spending.
The answer
Why does
is
it matter? Nominal dollars. If you want percentage of the discretionary spending on executive branch agencies, NASA gets over 30%.
No, incorrect.
Yes, correct.
No.
You
How much
can't
of the federal
roll
budget?
down discretionary
How
spending,
much
dude.
of the federal budget is NASA?
Okay, if you get more for your Social Security, NASA does not get a cut of that. That is called non-discretionary spending.
What percentage of the national budget is NASA?
Listen, you don't do that. That's not how, that's not how it works.
He has not given me a percentage.
Yeah, 30%.
You did. No, it is not 30%. It is less than 1/2.
Hold on, guys.
So what is it?
Hold on.
Less
So
than 1/2 of 1%.
I couldn't even hear you. First of all, so Crit, you're saying that it's a large percentage of the discretionary administrative budget, or which specific budget?
Oh, no.
If you look at things like
Hold on. Go ahead.
Of the executive branch agencies, like that, things like CIA, the Post Office, FBI, that's where NASA gets its funding from. Executive branch agencies. They get 37 or 34% of the tax dollar. Plus, they also piggyback on DOD. All their stuff is on DOD installations. So it's even more than that. Some people say it's like even way higher. If you were to see how much it costs DOD to support NASA.
And it's the word in the book. Some people
Let me also point out, they always argue about the percentage of GDP. That number is kind of irrelevant. It's the total dollar spend is what determines whether you can do something or not how much of a percentage of something else that number is. Okay, if you spent $1 million this year and you wanted $1 million next year to do the same task, but GDP triples, well, your percentage is only going to be 1/3 of last year's GDP, but your ability to perform the task is exactly the same. So that number is just a red herring.
Prices went high.
No,
Why did GDP went high?
Moron.
Okay, this is a problem. Shrikey, this is a problem, okay? Like, people have paid more money into Social Security and Medicare. NASA does not get a cut of that, okay? They will never, no executive branch agency will ever get a cut of all federal spending.
NASA
they will
gets
not get a cut.
0.48%
They're not
of the
getting a
federal
cut.
government.
How are you talking?
Here, guys, I've got the actual
spending. They don't get a cut of.
got the actual comparative numbers here, so we can take a look at it. Okay. Department of Health and Human Services obviously is the biggest. Social Security, Treasury, military. You come all the way down here: Veterans Affairs, Agriculture, Education, Transportation, Personnel Management, Department of Labor, Homeland Security, Civil Programs, Housing and Urban Development, Energy, Justice, other independent, Department of State, Commerce, and then NASA. Well, interestingly, NASA has
0.48%.
NASA. Yeah, okay. I you know what? I'm not even worried about the money, but whatever. It gets more than the EPA, Department of Interior, the Corps of Engineers, Civil Works, National Science Foundation, Small Business Administration, the Judicial Branch, the Legislative Branch, and a few Executive Office of the President, and a few more. It's bigger than those ones. So it is pretty sizable as far as agencies go. It's in the top,
What does it compare to?
Brandon, go down
what
to where it says independent.
What
This
is
is
it
what I'm
compared
talking
to the
about.
Department of Defense?
Go down a little bit, Brandon, if you would. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. So you got other independent agencies, 34,000 or 34 million. Is that no? It's billion, isn't it?
That's billion, yeah.
Is that 34 billion?
Yeah.
And then NASA gets 24 billion. And then you look a little bit down below. It's another line item for independent agencies. That's the line item for NASA. They just broke it into 3 parts. So you add those up: 8 billion plus the 34 billion plus the 20.
That is not the
24
NASA
billion.
budget.
That's the cut that NASA's getting.
That's incorrect, by the way.
Really?
No, that is correct.
Then
No,
what is
he's
the
making shit
correct,
up now.
Shield? What is the correct
number
then? Tell us.
The number that he first said, the $24 billion, for 0.48%.
They don't get a cut of the Department of State, dude.
0.48%.
NASA will, if Department of State funding goes up, NASA does not get a cut of that.
What percent of the budget is NASA? Is my simple question.
Okay,
the answer
you are.
is
I'm telling you why you're wrong. Okay,
0.48%.
they don't get a cut of the full federal budget. They only get a cut of their part.
Why does the percentage matter? Tell me that. Why does it make
Because
any
you
difference?
guys overestimate the amount of money. How much money does the Department of Defense get? How much money? How come you're not all upset about the Department of Defense?
We're talking about
Hey guys, honestly, we're bickering about this percentage, the dollar amount.
It's
Who gives a
irrelevant.
shit?
It's irrelevant.
Yeah.
I see. So you
No,
guys
it's
are
about
playing.
putting their money where the-
You guys are playing how
It's irrelevant to
0.48%.
the ability to perform a function.
You
What the
guys
hell
are
difference
ignoring
does
the
it
other
make?
99.5% of the budget and complaining about NASA. That's what I'm
False.
saying.
I'll tell you why. I'll wrap it in for you with a nice little present. Okay.
It's
Number one.
irrelevant, Shill.
No, it's not irrelevant. You guys think that
Well,
NASA's
explain-
wasting all this
explain
money,
it.
and it's
Well, I'm trying to say calm. It's really hard.
0.48%.
Explain the relevancy.
Of 1% of the budget.
It's like
If I want to do something,
Guys,
If I want to
what
achieve
does it
an outcome,
matter? Who cares?
what difference does the percentage of the budget make
It's
to
not what I'm
achieving
saying.
the outcome?
It is not a lot of money.
Effie,
on
your
federal
mic is
budget level.
pretty bad.
No, this is why it's a huge portion. Because it's about putting your money where your
Okay,
mouth is.
shut up, paid NASA shill. Crit, why does it matter?
Because it's showing them that they're trying to make it seem like it's not a lot of money. It's billions, $24 billion that they're not willing to put their money where their mouth is. They try to wrap it in like, oh, what about defense? Well, if you follow the narrative, the federal government, the executive branch says they need that budget for defense because the enemy is at the gate. They said without this defense spending, without these wars, America will fall. So which one is it? Are they lying about that stack of money? Are they lying about this stack of money? Which stack of money don't they need? And I would say they don't need to be doing any sort of meth fuel symposium at 37% of the tax dollar in non-discretionary spending. In discretionary spending. As a matter of fact, I would say all discretionary spending should be taken out of the government completely until the budget can be balanced.
Well, that's a whole different argument than anything here. But I am sure that this $730 billion is full of bullshit. I'm sure this one's full of bullshit. This one and this one too. All of them.
So, in the meantime, though, you guys are all worried about but NASA, well, the Department of Defense spends 30 times the amount of money.
So do you believe them? Do they need that defense budget? If defense goes up, why does NASA need a cut?
What do you mean, Crit? When this goes up, NASA goes up?
Yeah, that's what Shill's saying, right? Shill's saying that if defense doubles, another war is added. And then by his logic, NASA's funding percent will go even lower. Why would that limit their capability if another war starts? They're getting the same amount of funding today, tomorrow, and the next day.
Yeah.
It'd be like your power company calling you, said, I noticed you got a raise, so I'm going to increase your electric bill to match 30% of your income. And you're like, well, that's not fair. I'm still using the same amount of electricity. I just have more money, a larger pool of money. And they're like, according to paid NASA shill, I can't provide you power unless you give me 30%.
From my perspective, I really don't care. I mean, this is all bullshit anyway, right? I don't care how much money they get. I just want to figure out what the truth is. That's all I care about.
Well, where is it going?
I don't know.
It's
Who knows?
all warfare.
Who knows?
I mean, they defend the fact that they want to say, well, what percentage is it? But they defend the fact that this agency squanders off billions of dollars for these ridiculously
the same seven countries. Oh, sorry,
just fake bullshit, and then they defend it. Well, where's that money going?
It's weapons. The same 7 countries that claim space agencies are the same 7 countries that have nuclear weapons. I mean, wow, what a coincidence that is.
Yeah, just a coincidence, right? You might as well just move this up here in reality and just tack it in here. You don't even need to have a separate line item.
So
which is what they did in 2018 with Space Force. They said, screw it. It's military already. I'll just call it military. I mean, for real.
What's that, Farming Ganja?
The SLS rocket, the Space Launch System, they've spent near $30 billion on that, and it hasn't flown even one time yet.
Wow, $30 billion. What is this thing called? The SLS rocket?
The Space Launch System, yes, and it was born out of. It was originally in 2002, I believe. It's the Constellation program. It basically are taking space shuttle parts, the engines and the solid fuel boosters, and reusing them on a bigger rocket.
And what was the acronym of that? SOS?
SLS. Space Launch
System. SLS, okay.
America's rocket for deep exploration.
And basically, it's already out of date, right? Because it's going to cost, just the engines alone, the RS-25 engines, there's 4 of them, they're $250 million each. It's just $1 billion for just the engines, and they're going to be thrown away. Whereas, SpaceX is supposedly landing rockets again, so it can't even compete with what Elon Musk is supposedly building.
You telling me this isn't some kind of fucking weapon system?
Yeah, everything the federal government does is about 3 things. It's either making law. Oh, sorry.
It's corporate welfare for Boeing. It's been consistently over budget and over time for years, and yet NASA still continues to, give glowing praises of Boeing as a vendor.
The federal government is not about science. They never have been. They're about enforcement of law. That's it. The executive branch. Okay, the executive branch of which NASA is part of. They don't care about anything. Okay, matter of fact, the majority of the science that came out of the federal government was just about control. Had nothing to do with reality. And then to now say, 50 years, 60 years later, that some sort of weird space program for peace that never happened again, but yet endless perpetual war continued, and then roll that in. I mean, so like, yeah, NASA has the largest police force, the best SWAT team in the federal government. Their police force is larger than the FBI. And the FBI is said to be the premier law enforcement investigation agency in the whole world. So why does NASA have more sworn officers?
What? Really? Protective Services, NASA. I never heard, I heard you mention this before.
Yeah, this came up because was it I can't remember who it was, Jake on the plane or something like that, said that he wanted to go watch a rocket on weed. I'm like, try to smuggle drugs onto a federal installation. See what happens to you.
Huh. Well, whatever. You know, sometimes I wonder what they're really doing. And yeah, I think it's probably developing weapon systems and spying. But I really wonder what the fuck they're up to. I have a hard time believing that thinking that it's anything good for us, based on their past experience of lying and doing shady, disgusting things. The government in general, that is. Anyway. Yeah, open topic, guys. If anybody has anything they wanted to talk about, go for it.
Let's do a GoFundMe. All these people who think NASA's not getting enough, write a check. Put their money where their mouth is. Not my money. Put their money. That's kind of what I was getting to. My overarching, like Rumpus or Brenda, all these people saying that NASA. Oh, basically, it was a Neil deGrasse Tyson in 2014 did like this elaborate speech called "We Stopped Dreaming," and it was all about like he wants to triple or double the budget to NASA. And I'm like, where are you going to get this money from, dude?
Oh, let's double the money to NASA so we get like 1% of the budget now, huh? Yeah, it's going to break the budget.
You just said we get 1% of the budget. That's what you just said, paid NASA show.
Yeah, that's right, because I'm part of NASA, remember?
Okay.
Yeah, 1% of the budget. Let's not worry about the other 99%, but let's really obsess on one half of 1% of the budget. Let's really obsess on one half of 1% of the federal budget.
We are worried about the rest of it too. You guys stick out like a sore thumb, though.
Yeah, I know. The other 99.5% of the budget is unimportant, though. We'll balance that on the back of NASA.
No, don't get a victim complex. We just want to know what the fuck you guys are up to.
Yeah. Like I said, 1/2 of 1%. In the meantime, the Department of Defense spends NASA's budget in every 2 weeks.
All right, fair enough. I get your point. 2020, a propaganda masterpiece. If you guys haven't seen this, check it out. It talks about recent propaganda, some pretty interesting perspectives in here. I'll just give you guys the link. I'm not going to show any of this because it's like, I don't know, banned or something. You got to click the thing to watch it. But that was pretty cool. And then I got one other thing. Oh, where is it? U2 versus the space shuttle. This was interesting. This was Level Earth Observer. Did you guys see this? If you're not subscribed to Level Earth Observer, go check him out because he comes up with some pretty good stuff. But he's talking about a comparison between the U2 and the space shuttle. And I won't play the whole thing, but he shows this picture, which I believe is from the U2. Yeah, that's from the U2. And then this picture, which is supposedly from the space station. So here he's overlaying them. You guys can see that. And switching back and forth from one to the other. One of them is from a U2 spy plane. The other one's from the ISS, supposedly. Looks pretty similar, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's pretty cool. I'll put the link in the general.
Looks like there's gas escaping. What's going on?
There's nothing we can show them about for them to even question it, because we've showed them the most suspect shit ever, just tons of it, video after video, page after page, and they will defend it blindly usually. And then when you force them to watch it, then they come up with whatever it takes to keep their paradigm. It's insanity.
They worship government fully. Everything about it. It's like, it just goes back. You got to go back and find something like that dude who used to come around, Chief Shitting Dog. He's never found one thing that government has ever done that was below board. Just individuals who maybe did something wrong. But there's not one government conspiracy ever. That's what they think. They actually have to, they'll realize that government's messed up and point to all the different things government's done, but then go on to blame individuals and then pretend like NASA is some sort of divine providence. Just like Nixon said. Nixon said God picked America to win the space race. Duh. God loves capitalism.
Shitting Dog told us that the Five Eyes had been debunked.
Oh my god, yeah. I think about that every once in a while and just fucking
All right,
laugh.
what is it? The Five Eyes?
The five what?
The Five Eyes.
What is it?
Here, I'll bring it up. He said the Five Eyes was debunked. Didn't he say it was by one of those websites or something when we asked him? Five Eyes spy agencies.
Yeah, he told me the Trail of Tears didn't even happen. That was actually just a mistake. It was a real, that they didn't, that the weather had changed or something weird like that. It was supposed to be a fertile land that they were bringing them to, and it was like a bad report or something like that.
I find it hard to believe some of these people are real people, and those kind of answers are the reason why. Like they're either trolling or here for some other reason. Because who the fuck says the Five Eyes is a debunked conspiracy theory, or that there's never been any conspiracies that you can think of? Who the fuck says that?
A goof.
I mean, just recently with the secret wait list for veterans healthcare. I mean, that was like what? Just a clerical error?
Wherever there's humans, there's a potential for corruption. Oh, go ahead, Jeremy.
Yeah, no, that exactly. That's why when Brenda was saying there was a what would she call it when the people gotta hold the videos and photos from space?
Oh, chain of
command. Yeah, chain of custody.
No, chain of custody.
Yeah, chain of custody. I'm like, well, wouldn't those people? That's when she started rumpusing me. I think you kicked her right after that. But wouldn't those people have ample opportunity that were in the chain of custody to do anything they wanted with the photos, or do something with them?
And she said that it was the Smithsonian, and the Smithsonian is charged with preserving America's history. So nothing bad could happen. But I think if you've been in the conspiracy world, you know the stories about how they've taken up things like skeletons that were found in North America, giant skeletons, and how they kind of just disappeared and were hidden by the Smithsonian.
Yeah, and you know what? I used to kind of roll my eyes when I heard that, like, yeah, right. But what about those elongated skulls that they found down in South America? So it's definitely possible that they're finding something and they're like, well,
it doesn't fit in their paradigm.
And if it doesn't fit in their paradigm, they can't let you find out, because to rule you, they have to be able to fool you. Okay,
just
now
like
if their paradigm doesn't check out, they can't rule your mind anymore.
Just like that dinosaur bone thing you got them guys on, Brian. That was nice work.
Yeah, that was good. That was like you're calling it a fossil, and it's fucking red blood tissue. We're calling it a fossil.
You're doing good work if you're in a QE's numpty clip. If you're on our side.
Yeah, that made me feel good, man. I was like, I finally got to the point, but I did get to the point. Like, they're calling this a fossil when it's red blood tissue. Stretchy red blood tissue, they're trying to call million-year-old fossil. That, my friends, is retarded.
So I don't know if everybody's aware, but there's these elongated skulls that they found down in South America. They've been DNA tested. They're not human. Okay.
No, global. My bad.
I trust the people who did this to an extent. I think they've shown me enough evidence, and it just nothing seems like a hoax with this thing.
Yeah,
What, the Anunnaki?
A Glober will tell you that you know, they just shape their heads. You know how that they do it in Africa with their necks or certain body parts, elongated neck or something. They'll just tell you that's what this is right here. You know, humans bending their, you know, shaping their heads.
I do think that's what that is.
No, there
That's my
are
personal
some
opinion on
people
it.
who have done that. There's two kinds, and you can tell by the skull. I can't remember exactly what it is, but there's two kinds. There's ones where it was binding. Okay, it was. And then there's the other ones where it is real.
See, I'm a firm believer that they, you know, we're just another version of history, and they've had capability of manipulating DNA advanced more than ours. Like when you see the bird heads and the different animals on top of the heads of Egyptians, I think that represented people mixed with different types of DNA. And so I believe that they manipulated DNA. I don't believe these whatever they're called coming from light years away or shit. I just believe that they manipulated DNA in the past, and that's what they meant by pure, like with the 8 people that went on the ark, or the 8 sons or whatever, daughters that Noah took, was the purest forms of human DNA. Everybody else has already been tainted, and I don't believe we're advanced any more than our forefathers, or our not necessarily our forefathers, but our, you know, the people, the ancient civilizations, or even not ancient, older. You know, if everybody has food and food to eat, as soon as you get that far, then you got people with time on their hands to start, you know, creating technology. We see it doesn't take long, as long as people are fed, then technology advances very, very fast. So we're nothing special. It ain't just us who've advanced technology within 100 years. Every time there's a reset, the same shit happens. As soon as there's enough food for everybody, then people got time on their hands to start testing shit. And humans are smart. They don't live in caves.
You know who did good work with the skull thing was that guy.
There was a guy in TikTok. There was a guy in TikTok that literally spliced a rat with a cat DNA, and he raised these things and he released them in the wild. There's a video of these animals, of these creatures.
I've seen some shit out in the wild, bro, long time ago, and I just chalked it down as the what do they call that dog, that Mexican fucking
pareidolia.
I just chalked it down as a chupacabra, but I watched this. Listen to this. I watched this thing swim across about a little over half mile of a river, and it was about 3 a.m. and the river was completely still. It's the St. John's, the mouth of it. So there's usually current going one way or another, but it was completely still, and it was middle of the night. We had just seen a fucking meteorite that was loud. It went, and it was just like an eerie night, and we're drinking a little bit, but we're not really that drunk. We're just about to chill, and all of a sudden this thing, it looks like a dog. It's about the size of a dog. It's just swimming just a steady little pace across the river. And so I was like, God, this dog just swam that fucking far. We get up from the campfire, me and my friend Jason, and he's a big guy too. And we walk down there, and I got a spotlight. And we're gonna pet the dog and like, damn, congratulate the motherfucker for swimming so far and give it a little piece of hot dog or something. And it gets out the fucking water, dude. And this was not a fucking dog, dude. And to the day I die, I've been trying to find out what this fucking thing was. It had like skin like a reptile or elephant or a pig, like type of no hair. It had big giant fangs, big ass eyes. It had like big claws, dude, and it looked like it had kind of like horns, but it wasn't really. It might have been pointy ears, but it's about the size of a Doberman. But I promise you, it was not a mammal that we know of. And I'm just kind of chalking it down as a chupacabra, man. But where it headed to, it came from across the river towards the military base. This is funny, but I promise you, God, it's a true story. It came from an area and some reserves, some old Seminole or I forgot the name of the Indian, but across the river was a reserve, and it's headed out in the marshlands, like north of Jacksonville, into just nothing, just swampland. And I'm thinking this could be the path of this thing, and nobody would ever see it if it crosses, like migrates that direction once a year. It's just out in the swamplands, and it fucking like hissed at us. And my buddy fucking turned around and hauled ass, and I'm like, what the fuck, dude? I start backing away, but I don't want to lose sight of it. And this is a long time ago before I had a video phone, but still to this day, the best I can describe it is a chupacabra. But I backpedaled because this thing was fucking unrecognizable. So and my wife tried to help me find it. She showed me the chupacabra, and I was like, yeah, maybe that's about the closest thing I could find to what it actually was, but it wasn't a mammal. And it was weird. So there's animals out there. I promise you. I promise to God, there's shit out there. We don't know what it is, or somebody might, but I promise you that I don't, and it's not in the records. And
one of my pet theories is that gorillas and chimpanzees are earlier attempts at creating, whatever they're after, whatever we are. We're a later iteration than them. They didn't wipe them out. They just let these ones kind of, live in the jungle. We didn't kill them all, but that's one of my pet little theories.
Who is they?
What's more likely than that? They were attempts. Look, gorillas were attempts, like early attempts of the Egyptians or whatever, of mixing animals with humans, and they just failed. It's more likely that it's already the humans, and some shit like that is failed attempts to mix human DNA with animals.
I told you guys before. Go watch Lloyd Pye. Everything you know is wrong. It's excellent.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. You mention that every once in a while. Oh, who was trying to talk? Sorry.
How does he know what others know?
Huh?
He titled his video "Everything You Know Is Wrong."
Hey, real quick, in case anybody knows
what's the name of the thing.
That's the name of the video, bro. In case anybody knows what this thing might be, or even cares to guess, when it took off, it ran through the sawgrass up on the shore, and it took big jumps, kind of like it was like a pacing type of jump. So it was fairly fast, but not super fast. And it was humpbacked. It was humpback. It had a tongue too, like a fucking lizard tongue, and it humped. Its back was like humped over like a fucking hyena or something, man. It was so if anybody has seen something like that or on some mysterious videos or whatever, man, please direct me to it, because until I die, I want to figure what this thing was. Something, it ain't fucking mystical because it was right in front of my fucking eyes, and I'd like to figure out what it was before I die.
There are actual reports and instances where they've found an animal that was said to be legendary. Even in the last 50 years, I was just reading about one not too long ago. It was like a primate out in, I can't remember exactly where. It was like Cambodia or somewhere over there. And they actually found this thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna say where this thing ran off through, there's nobody gonna go up in them swamps. There's no people gonna go up in there to look for something like that. It's just swamp. It's unnavigable. I mean, you could walk through there, but someone would hear you from a mile away. If it didn't want to be seen, it wouldn't be seen.
Yeah, when people first heard that there was black and white bears that ate bamboo, it was laughable. It took them 60 years to go find one because they're so secluded in such a hard to reach spot. We think we're masters of the universe. We haven't explored all our land. There's places no humans been on Earth.
Yeah, the most livable.
I bet you there was dumbasses back then who were like, "You're a fucking idiot. Modern science knows what all the animals are. There's no fucking black and white bear."
You look in some of the fucking in the documents, and they have the skunk ape just plain as day. They're like about the size of teenage men or women, and they stink. You can smell them from a mile away. The Indians have them clearly documented, and they're in the swamps of Florida. But then you look at other shit, and it's like they don't even acknowledge it. Like it's plain as day to the Indians around here, to the Indians in Central Florida. It's just a part of fucking everyday life. The skunk ape. They're out in the swamp.
Loch Ness monster. Yeah, they're all exist. I got.
Shut up, Shield.
It's not a fucking mysterious. It's a fucking monkey, bro. It's not a fucking mysterious fucking.
That's what
creature, bro.
Shield is. A monkey.
What
You
an
know,
asshole to even say that. You know, I'm just
any
telling you what
examples of this
people around here know of.
Any examples of this, like a skeleton, you know?
Well, you know, we don't have examples of perhaps of what Brian's talking about, but we do have these elongated skulls that have been DNA tested as not human. This one right here. So what do you think about these?
That I would like to see that it's not human.
Yeah.
So in the thousands of
there's this guy, Brian Forstner.
We know people did do this to themselves.
Yep. There was some
Shake
people who
your
did
head,
it, but
so-
you can tell the difference in the skulls. And this guy will explain it all to you. I'll put the link to this video. I think this is an overview. I haven't watched this exact one, but I think it's an overview of his work. And you can check him out. If you find out it's bullshit and there's some kind of trickery that these guys are doing or something, let me know. But from what I can tell, they seem like they're pretty legit.
Yeah, there's states where you can't shoot Bigfoot. It's like illegal. They actually passed laws.
Yeah, that Bigfoot stuff's weird,
Bro,
man.
I mean, think about it, man. There's thousands of square miles here in Central Florida, man. That's nothing but swamp. There's a road called Alligator.
Oh, you're cutting out, Brian.
It's Florida's not shaped how it is on the map. It's bigger in the middle, for sure. I've crossed Florida everywhere there is to fucking cross it, dude. It's not shaped how it is on the map. I promise you. Okay, so you go south of the Bulge, and you cross this highway called Alligator Alley, and there's more alligators than you ever seen in your life. It's a straight shot from like south central Florida to the east coast of from the Gulf to the Atlantic, right? And it's the best to get if you're going to go from like say Tampa or something, but you got to go south a little bit. Anyway, you count just they're in the road. They're just littered along the bank. There's a canal on each side of the road, and it's just littered with alligators and swamp as far as the eye can see to the left and to the right. It's a couple 100 miles long, and dude, I'm like, shit. Who's gonna go out in that? There's alligators everywhere. There's swampland, thousands of miles. Trust me, there could be plenty of things out there with plenty of food that could survive out there, especially an ape. You know? Why couldn't an ape survive out in the swamp? It's abundant. Everything's abundant in the swamp.
Right. Well, back to this paid NASA show. What do you think about these elongated skulls?
They pressed the skulls of their kids. The Egyptians did this too, if I remember correctly.
No, remember, I just said that. Okay, go watch the video because there's two types. They can tell by the bones in the skull. There's the ones that they pressed, and then there's ones that they didn't press, and they tested the DNA of these skulls. So go check it out.
All right, you put it in the chat. I'll check it out.
Yeah, I put it in general. It's pretty freaking interesting, man. And they found like a family of them, and they've come across so many of these skeletons. At least that's the story they're telling and providing evidence for.
I can't believe nobody called me out on the shape of Florida, man. After we're done with that, I'll give my evidence.
Well, yeah, I'd kind of like to hear about this. Why do you think Florida isn't shaped the way it is? What's your
Okay, guys. Okay, let's say I'm at the beach in North Florida. I'm at the south of the Panhandle. Okay, I'm at the bottom of the fucking Panhandle, but I mean across from the Panhandle. Okay, so picture you're on the Atlantic Ocean coast of North Florida. Okay, now if I want to get to the Gulf of Mexico from where I'm at, I can get there in about an hour and 45 minutes. I go down I-10, I cut through Lottie, Stark, I just take a direct angle just a tiny bit south, and then I cut through Gainesville, and then in about an hour and 45 minutes, I can get to the Gulf Coast. So it's skinny, like you see on a map. Now, when you go south a few hundred miles, when you get down by Tampa, you got to go almost an hour to get to the Gulf. Then you got to go a couple hours to get to Orlando, and then another hour to get to the Daytona. It's wider. In other words, and then where that big lake is, Okeechobee, in the center, which is a little bit south of where I'm talking about, it's even wider. There's no roads crossing. And a big span of Florida, there is literally no roads crossing. And
You're
then
saying that you think yes, there is. I've driven them roads many times.
There's a road going over Lake Okeechobee, bud.
Not over Lake Okeechobee, but there's roads that go east and west of Okeechobee.
Right. And how big? What are you talking about, east and west? Right. But my point is, would you agree that the north center of Florida is wider than the bottom and the top?
It's wider in the middle, a little bit.
Yeah, it's considerably wider, but that's not what the map shows. No, it's about almost twice, maybe not twice. It's almost twice as wide in the middle. That's not what the map show, though, Howard. Look at the maps.
Well, it does look like it's close to the same all the way down, but a little wider in parts. I don't know, Brian. It'd be interesting to find out. I do suspect that there's some funky shit going on with the maps, but.
Well, hey, in all fairness, Howard, now that you've heard this, in the future when you're going down there, if you ever get a chance in any of your routes, just pay attention. Like if you have a chance to veer off, instead of going up 75 to maybe go up 95, check out them routes down there in Central Florida. See how long it takes to actually span Florida. I'm telling you, I can get from here to the fucking Gulf Coast in a little over an hour and a half. And I'm in North Florida. That's not the case in Central Florida. It takes way longer than that, like almost twice as long.
And it takes. I'm going to say it takes you an hour to get to I-10 and probably another hour to get to the Gulf from I-10, dropping down on 431 or something like that.
And yeah, 441, you mean 441. But no, I'm talking about going from I-10 and cutting, instead of going straight, like kind of northy or easty, taking a little bit of an angle toward Gainesville. Draw a straight shot from Jacksonville, downtown where I-10 first starts, to Gainesville, to Cedar Key or Swanee. And that drive takes about an hour and 45 minutes. If that.
Yeah, that's about right.
Huh. All right. Well, we'll find out, huh? Go get out there, get a tape measure out there, and check it out, Brian.
You get fucking tape measures. That's just it. When they're talking about triangles on globes, who the fuck's gonna ever validate any of this, especially crossing oceans, right?
The thing when you're trying to gauge it.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
The thing when you're trying to gauge distance on a road is you're going up, down, left, right, around turns. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, not to mention the length difference from a spear to splat we already know and have been over is minimal. Over actual measurable distances, it's minute. It's immeasurable.
That was half the reason I gave up on that subsolar point thing, because even to gauge the distance between known points, it's like, well, how do you know how, in a straight line distance?
And to add to that,
yeah, because they're going to want to use spherical geometry, right?
Yeah, but add to that, here's what's very important, man. The elevation changes alone would way outmeasure the difference in the curved Earth or the flat Earth. Just the up and downs are so, they're so present. That would way outweigh the difference between a straight line and a curved line on a globe. Just like Jeremy said, the elevation changes in general, just them alone.
Yeah, depending on the distance, yeah.
And then almost no road's dead straight either. So you're going left, right, you're going up, down, grade. You know what I mean? Like you're all over the place. So you have no idea.
And not only that, like I could see how they, just the fact that it's so much easier just to do the angles with the latitudes. I mean, what a great way to make latitudes. But the fact of the matter is the sun angles and shit is how they made the fucking latitude. So of course they're going to match. It'd be way easier. It'd be feasible. Plus the fact that the continents are higher in the center on average than they are toward the coastline. Obviously the land rises up toward the center. I mean, I see how they come up with all this shit. But when we ask for the proof, to try and go over it and show them that in the math are the assumptions themselves, they don't like to present it because we can hold their hand and walk them through it and show them, look, okay, it doesn't prove flat, but it damn sure does not prove a globe. It's all assumed in the math.
Yeah, the more you look into this stuff, you'll find that the sphere is baked into everything in one way or the other.
Refraction. It is baked into refraction. It's in their formula. The R value is in their formula. They cannot do refraction in the atmosphere without using the R value.
Yes, you can.
You can't. Not according to Andrew Thomas
Yes,
Young,
you
who's the
can.
subject matter expert. Who the fuck are you? Some goon on the internet.
So what's the problem, Jeremy? We can determine the so-called R value, which has nothing to do with the insulation on my
We've
roof.
only ever done it optically.
Nope.
It's circular reasoning. It's circular reasoning.
You can determine the radius of the Earth without the radius of the Earth. You can determine the radius of the Earth independently without refraction.
Okay,
Without
let's go over the math. Let's go over the math.
How'd you do it how'd you do it? Hold on, Brian. How'd you do it non-optically?
What do you mean non-optically? You have to use your eyes to read stuff.
Sure. Well, how'd you do it if it wasn't with a sight or with an observation?
Eratosthenes.
And you don't think there's any refraction involved with Eratosthenes?
Solar noon.
You're an idiot.
Solar noon coming straight down, no refraction.
I've only heard two ballers admit. I've only heard two ballers honest enough. That was Professor Phil and Miles Davis admit that in all these formulas, the assumption of the globe is factored in. There's only two globers, and paid NASA shill is not one of them. Miles
Because
Davis
you can
and Professor
determine
Phil
the
Bell
radius of the
are
Earth
honest enough to admit that.
Brian, then you have not been listening. If you, only ever heard two what you categorize as globers say that, then you've not been listening.
Well, you hear what we go through every day. These people say, "No, this proves the globe. This proves the
You're
globe."
not listening.
Well, school me. Who else admits that these measurements, assuming a globe, don't prove a globe? Who else admits that? Who else admits that
Don't
we're not
have to
assuming it?
assume the globe to prove the globe.
Shut up, Shield.
You
got shit
closed.
I just pointed out how it's circular reasoning that you guys use the optics, but you have to use R in the optics. Eratosthenes does not prove anything. No, it
Yes, it
doesn't.
does.
We've already debunked that several times.
Eratosthenes proves the Earth is not flat.
No, we did not. You can shut up now.
Yeah, okay.
We've already debunked that several times. We're not going
You
through
have
it again.
debunked Eratosthenes. It's been around for 2,000 years. You're not going to
Several times.
Isn't Eratosthenes assuming a globe? Isn't Eratosthenes putting a radius in the math? Ain't it assuming a globe, assuming angles, assuming datums that are not parallel? Isn't there an overarching assumption in that math? Paid?
Well, because if you start the other way and assume that it's flat, the sun has to be in different spots at the same time. How's that possible?
Or the sky is
Matter.
not
Map
working
it out
like you
flat,
think it
and
is.
the measurements are going to match.
Oh, so
flat.
how's the sky working,
Map
Jeremy?
it
You have
out
a big ass Fresnel lens up
I
there
already told you we recreated Eratosthenes on a flat surface.
with a
All
big
we
ass
did was
lens up in
change
the sky.
whatever, man. All we did was change
Yeah,
the way the
all you
sun,
did is take up a
sun
big
works.
lens.
So you don't. Yeah, that's fine. You don't know if there's a lens in front of the sun or what.
Yeah. Where's that lens? I mean, a big glass lens. Where is it?
You're just
Is it
assuming
big?
how the sky works. Eratosthenes assumes how the sky works. You don't
know
know
how the
that
sky
for a
works.
fact. You can't
Yes, we
prove
do.
it. No, you don't, and you can't.
Yes, we
and
do.
you
We know that there's no
bullshit.
big ass glass lens between us and the sun.
See how he
Did
turns it
Eratosthenes
into
assume
a
that?
ridiculous
Assume
thing,
that.
your
Doesn't even
position.
assume that there is
He
no
makes it
glass
sound
lens
like
on.
you said that there was a big glass lens.
That's what you used in the experiment. A big glass
That's
lens.
what they have to do.
Hey,
They have to say
Chill.
same shit.
In the
I
experiment,
asked
that
you,
did,
All
you
I'm
used
saying
a
is,
big glass lens.
hold on. All I'm saying is, it could be some other way than you guys say, if the sky's working differently. You can't prove that it's not.
Yeah,
You
there's
can't
an
prove that it's
infinite
working the
amount
way.
of-
Yes, we can. You say
It's an appeal to ignorance.
if you say it's differently, prove it differently.
Yeah, there's an infinite
No,
amount
you're
of
making the claim that this
explanation.
Eratosthenes. You're making the claim that this Eratosthenes thing's proving a globe. You can't prove that it's working the way
Yes, I
you
can.
say it is. I have an
Jeremy,
alternate version of
Jeremy,
how it could
You
be
have an
working.
alternate makeup, wave your hands, big glass lens in the sky version. Yeah.
That's an appeal to ignorance, Jeremy.
Venus, how
I'm
did
trying to appeal to
Eratosthenes
ignorance.
know?
You can't prove
Hey,
your
dickhead.
claim. You can't
How
prove
did-
your claim. It's not an
You're-
appeal to
you're
ignorance
ar-
when you
you're
can't prove your
arguing-
Do
claim.
it every day. Eratosthenes has been done and repeated thousands of times. Every
You
day.
How
can't
did
prove how the
Eratosthenes
sky's
know
working.
the sun was directly overhead?
With assumptions. With assumptions, paid.
Not
With
with
assumptions.
assumptions,
The
sorry.
distance of the sun. Yes, bullshit.
Penis.
You're assuming
You
you
don't
know
need
the
distance
size
to
and
the
distance of the
sun.
sun.
All
You
right,
don't need
Penis.
distance to the sun.
slow
How
down.
did Eratosthenes know
Let's
the
hear
sun was
Jeremy and
directly overhead?
Paid NASA Show work this out. Go ahead.
You're not working anything, huh?
Yeah, there.
I'm not going to work out the Eratosthenes experiment with someone who denies it. How you think? It's only been done for like 2,000 years.
Yeah, we talked about it today. You said you got the wrong answer. So why don't you accept
Yeah,
your
10%.
answer?
Okay, so
I think the big
that's
point is
that's
that
not bad
Jeremy,
for the
you're-
equipment I had. I had a shitty ruler and a paint stick from Home Depot on my sidewalk. Not bad.
How did Eratosthenes know the sun was directly overhead?
Because it went down the well, remember? Remember the story?
Was he on the equator? Oh, was he on the equator?
Well, the sun was directly overhead.
Was he on the equator at an equinox? Is that what he was?
Doesn't matter. You don't have to do it at the equinox. Nope.
Actually, he knew it was overhead because of Kahina knew.
They're asking the wrong questions. The question is, how far away is the sun? You have to assume it.
No, you don't have to assume how far away the sun is. You just have
how far away the sun is at all.
You just have to. The rays come in parallel. That's all that's important.
Yeah, there you go. There's your assumption. Did you hear that?
Are going to be perspective.
Did you hear that?
Proven.
He just said you have to prove. You have to assume that the sun's light rays are parallel. Which hey, NASA Shell, shut the fuck up.
That, Brandon. You know that.
Parallel light rays would necessitate a distant sun. Shut the fuck up, Morty. Would necessitate a distant sun, wouldn't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're already assuming a distant sun, and then you're saying this experiment proves the sun is distant.
I'm not assuming it. You can demonstrate that sun rays are parallel.
Do you understand English?
Like, would they be parallel down a well?
You can
demonstrate that they're not parallel.
You can demonstrate that they are parallel.
We can demonstrate that they're not.
How?
We can also demonstrate that they're converging and diverging.
How?
With your own
Okay,
graph.
guys, trigonometry.
Go bring up a graph.
The sun is
right here.
The sun is between 3,000 and 4,000
Brian,
miles away.
let Jeremy do this, man.
60 miles they vary about a degree.
Here we go. Sun rays are parallel. Thank you.
Okay, go bring up one of your own graph.
Between 3,000 and 4,000 miles away. Okay, if the sun was between 3,000 and 4,000 miles away, then it'd be about every 50 to 60 miles. There'd be about a degree of change. You add refraction to that with distance, and you get proof of a local sun, dude. You're just saying you're. Yes, you do, man. You're using.
No, you don't.
You're making assumptions and you don't want to admit
I'm making
it,
an assumption. I showed you an experiment you can do anytime the moon is up during the daytime and demonstrate that sun rays are parallel.
Well, I got a question.
Let's test his trig.
Sure.
If the sun is 4,000 miles high above your head and it moves, okay, and you move 60 miles past the sun, what's your angle? What's your new angle?
It's I don't know. What is it? You tell me.
1 degree, bitch.
60 miles? You mean 69 miles?
I estimated it at about 60 miles. It's about 1 degree. I was testing you to see if you understood trigonometry, and you don't.
Oh, I understand trigonometry much better than you. You just memorized some facts.
Well, Brian, don't they also try to invoke radar, and they can use that to measure the distance?
You actually don't need radar. You can do it with a radio. Your ham radio will prove the distance to the moon.
Well, okay, so the sun is not an entire black body. The sun is a black body.
Let's see your ham radio. Let's see it. Bring it, show it, demonstrate it. Let's go over it.
Brian, I thought this was do it yourself, and this is do your own research. Why don't you go to your local ham radio club, I'm sure there's one in Florida, and tell them you're interested in EME or moon bounce, and have them demonstrate it to you.
The sun is a black
body. Asshole. It is not my proof. It's yours.
The sun is
actually, but you don't want to see it demonstrated. So okay, fine.
The sun is a black body, absorbs all electromagnetic waves.
No, I didn't say the sun. I'm talking about
the sun. We're talking about the sun. What are you talking about?
We're talking about the moon.
We're talking about the moon now. Change it.
How did you determine that the sun's light rays are parallel?
I told you right here.
Brandon, all you got to do is bring up a solar eclipse picture, and it'll just show you right there in their own model that they're not.
What do you mean?
We can also, not to mention, we can also see them in those. What are those sun rays called? I forget what the weird name no one can pronounce.
Crepuscular rays.
There you go, crepuscular rays.
See, crepuscular rays actually are refraction and perspective, but you don't understand that. Here you go, Brian. Right here, but you don't understand that. Here, look at this. Here's your demonstration that the sun rays are parallel. Anytime the moon is up,
someone doesn't want to admit that crepuscular rays aren't parallel.
Brandon, when you took this photograph and you put it under, we looked at it closely, and the shadows don't even line up.
That's what I'm showing.
Yeah,
on
that
the
was
screen
good
right
work.
now.
That one.
That's what I was going to point out.
Good one
so
that day.
NASA Shill has provided this image right here. One of the Glober's favorite images to prove that sun rays are parallel. And Peyton Nessa Shill, your evidence is shit. Just so you know, dude. So here we've stacked them up.
Of course, it has to
And
be shit because you have to
just
disprove
shut
it.
up and take it, because you fucking brought this bullshit up. Let's look at those parallel light rays. Oh, look at that shadow. Those shadows don't match up. Are you trying to tell me that the shadows on these two match up? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Because they don't.
I would also like to say, Brandon, that experiment right there with the little golf ball on the moon right there, that's at a local scale. That's at a local scale.
Sorry, Aaron.
Right?
Yeah.
Right, Peyton NASA Shill? That's a local scale. So it works locally and at 93 million miles away.
Everything he brings, we crush. And he just does not compute. Does not compute.
Yeah, you don't crush shit.
What about Psyche? Psyche just posted something. What about
Psyche,
that
you
one?
got something?
You're talking about the copy and paste moon?
You also see that these angles are slight. Yeah, no. Okay, what the fuck?
Yeah.
His
Always
angles are slightly
challenge
off.
people to post pieces of shit.
The lunar
His
phase
angles
of
are slightly off, so you could get the picture. But you know, that's some proof shit. I got you.
the lunar phase is one of the
red
biggest
line.
debunks. Sorry, Chad.
Oh, so lunar phases aren't real either?
They are totally destroy the heliocentric model.
Oh fuck! I'm gonna leave with that. That's a bunch of shit. You know it.
All right, see you later.
How so?
Well, number one, how can you see a full moon during the day?
You don't see a
Can
full
you
moon.
actually see a
Yeah.
full
Look it
moon?
up.
Show me full moon during the day.
Just look it up. You'll find it.
Now,
I see
to
full
look it up
moon
because
during the day.
Far
wouldn't
away from
find
the
it.
horizon,
You will
like above 15 degrees.
Or crescent moon at night.
You can see crescent moons.
Again,
Yeah,
you
you
can
could.
How
see
much crescent?
can
How much
see, like,
crescent?
you can see
How
a
much
crescent
crescent
moon
during
at night
how
or
long
full
at night?
moon at the day, like far above the horizon, like up there above your head. You can see a full moon during the day,
Yeah, you can
or
see
a
a full
crescent
moon
moon during the night, up above your head.
You want me to find it for you? You actually need me to Google stuff for
Above your head. Are you saying that's possible? That's done.
Go to Wake Souls, and he's got a full moon fading out in the middle of the daytime, about 60 degrees.
Hey,
Really?
Psyche, why did you post this cartoon of this moon being lowered over this ball here? Why'd you do that?
That's what that's what I was talking about.
What, Psyche? Why post this cartoon here?
Well, because the guy went and at his first observation, which he did wrong, he thought they don't match, and then the second time he went there and did it right, he found out they do match. And he's a flat earther, or at least he was.
I'm sorry.
Chikey, where's the
Hey.
red line going over top of the moon and then labeling the eye level? Where's that?
So anyway, I don't see any strong conclusive evidence that sun rays are parallel, but all right. You guys will need that if you want to claim your Eratosthenes does anything.
Okay, so we know that there are crepuscular rays and there are anti-crepuscular rays, right? The crepuscular rays appear to converge towards the sun, and the anti-crepuscular rays appear to converge opposite of the sun, away from the sun. How is that possible?
It's perspective. There you go.
What?
Perspective.
Perspective.
What is it you think we need to explain when it comes to that observation?
So which kind of lines has convergence points towards one end and towards the other end?
You're kind of saying there's only one source of light that would ever do that. Right?
Parallel.
You know, he talked about the source of light.
No,
Is
you'd
that
only be able to get
source of light?
diverging
I didn't
rays.
say light, I said line.
Oh,
You have two lines and you apply perspective. How do they need to be oriented towards each other so that you get two convergent points due to perspective? towards your one end.
You need a divergent and a reflection.
Download a perspective drawing, put one in front of your face, put one behind your head, and turn around.
Exactly. Yeah, or put a mirror and reflect.
Can we see an example of what you're talking about, Morty?
Hey, there's a GIF I posted that really matches this.
Here's what happens with the two lines that cross each other, or two divergent lines due to perspective, right? When you get infinitely far away, the two lines go infinitely far away from each other because they
We're
diverge.
not infinitely far away, though.
Huh?
What did you bring up infinity for?
Yeah, we're
To what?
close
When
and
you go
local. We
further
don't need
and
to think
further
about
away.
what's happening in
I'm
infinity. That's nonsense.
I'm just trying to look at what would happen for two divergent lines due to perspective. Is that not valid somehow? Is that a problem for someone?
Do you have an example of this that you could show us? Do you have? Can you show us the observation that you're asking us to explain?
I mean, that's what we look at. We look at the horizon.
No. I don't give a shit what we look at. Do you have something for us to show us that we can talk about?
Yeah, I'm talking, but nobody seems to be interested in listening. So why should I continue?
Parallel, so we can talk about it.
Yeah, we just want to see a picture of what you're talking about.
Of parallel lines, that'd be great.
It's not that hard. You can draw it yourself.
We like demonstrations.
Did you observe this in reality, right, Morty?
What do you want? A demonstration of perspective?
Morty, did you observe this in reality?
Yep. I observe corpusculars and anti-corpusculars. Is this somehow in contention that those both exist?
I'm just asking you for a fucking picture of it. Your observation. You're asking me to go off something in your imagination right now.
That is parallel, which
I can't explain something in your imagination at this point.
Which I can't demonstrate without explaining. The only fact that I'm considering is the fact that there are corpusculars and anti-corpusculars. We all are in agreement that those both exist.
Can you just show us some examples of what you think needs to be explained, please?
Do those lines diverge or converge?
Oh my fucking god! The fact that corpusculars, both corpusculars and anti-corpusculars exist.
So what?
Are they parallel?
The fact they exist.
What? They both exist. Needs to be explained.
Show us an observation that you think we need to explain, and then we can talk about it. I don't know why do you think they shouldn't exist?
Observations of corpuscular rays.
Why do you think they both shouldn't exist? Morty, chill. Why do you think they shouldn't exist?
I'm not saying they shouldn't.
Okay.
But you're asking me to demonstrate and to show what I think needs to be explained.
Yeah.
And I'm saying corpuscular rays.
How do you explain them on a globe?
You say you need to show it. Well, there is nothing more to show.
Morty, with parallel sun rays.
Anti-corpuscular rays existing. There's nothing more to show.
Bro, on your model, they're only going off about 5 miles.
Come back when you're not triggered there, buddy.
Yeah, on his model, they're only going off about 10 miles into the distance. On a flat Earth model, they're doing what we're seeing. They're going off way into the distance, spreading out the way perspective works. I want to know how the fuck they work on his globe model when the horizon's already bent.
What's funny to me is how he knows what happens on infinity. That was funny to me, you know. I mean,
that's hilarious.
Here's my question on corpuscular rays. Using the corpuscular rays, where is the sun according to the rays?
That's the source.
Isn't it like 6,000, 3,000 or something? Wasn't the
between about 3 and 8,000 miles?
Yeah,
That's the math.
exactly where it looks like it is.
Show us the math.
Now, Howard, that's a very good question. So you asked us where do those rays originate from, and then when you turn around and you see the anti-corpuscular rays, where do they terminate at? In the one single point again?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like just one light ray that spreads out and goes back together and ends up in one point out in space?
Well, that's due to perspective, just like railroad tracks, right?
Pretty much.
They are
Which is what you would see on a flat Earth, Howard.
No,
and
they
the
are
point is
parallel.
that gentleman was trying to get to was that
No.
the rays are parallel.
Howard, where do they converge on a sphere with a 93 million mile sun? Where are they converging, pal? Please.
What do you mean?
We can't see because the horizon is far closer than where they are.
Well, just give me just round it off to
don't-
the nearest million.
Depends what the distance between them, isn't it?
Okay, round it off to the nearest 5 million, Chikey. How far away are they converging?
What do you mean? For our eyes?
Where do the rays converge? Okay.
They don't. They are parallel forever.
Ah, very good answer. They will never converge, right?
Right, they are parallel. Don't you get it?
But they appear to converge, right?
Hang on, they
Yes,
can't
we know
ever
they
be
appear to
parallel.
converge. They don't.
Every ray coming out of the sun will necessarily be pointing at even a minusculely different direction,
Exactly,
different
Paige.
angle to every other one. So they never.
To have a source, right, Paige? To have a source, you have to have a converging point. Now, how far away are the corpuscular rays converging? What the converging point, the point where they combine? How far away is that, Chikey?
There isn't one.
Then there's no source.
What, not even in the middle of the sun? The very center of the sun?
Brian, you're talking about the divergent rays coming from the source. Yeah. So I think Chikey was thinking opposite of you. He's looking away from the light source, but Chikey.
That's why I specified. That's why I specified where they converge. When I specified where the light rays converge, how far away is that? Where they converge? There's only one spot they converge, and I'd like him to tell us. He can round it off to the nearest 5 million if he wants. Round it off to the nearest 20 million. How far away do them light rays converge?
How far away does the railroad? How far away does a railroad track converge?
About 3 miles to a 6-foot observer. Okay, now answer my question.
Well, it's about whatever that is, whatever you see it doing. I don't know.
How far away? How far apart, Howard, are those light rays? The ones we see. How far apart are those rays that we see, Howard? Over our head.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, right? Shouldn't light be omnipresent, like just billions of rays right in our eye?
But the thing is, it matches the observation of the railroad tracks, does it not?
No.
Not even
So
close.
what have you got to push the sun out further than where those, like when we see the train tracks converge at 3 miles, that's what it looks like, right? So if we're going to say the same
sun's
thing about
93
the
million
sun,
miles away,
that's
Howard,
what it
it's not
looks
even
like.
close.
What have you got to push that sun further? Like we can walk along the train tracks and go to that point and show you that they're still not touching. What have you done to prove that when those lines converge and you make that triangle up to the sun, what have you got to push that sun further out?
We just understand that viewing railroad tracks that appear to converge don't actually
So you just
converge.
assume you've got nothing.
Yeah, but if you raise up in the air, Howard, the higher you raise up in the air, the further they go. You raise up in the air, it has nothing to do with a ball. You raise up in the air, and them train tracks converge at a further point. So compare that with the sun you're speaking of, okay? And so you don't need a ball to spread the railroad tracks out prospectively. You just need height.
I don't know what the argument is. I think both sides are on the same page.
I don't think there is an argument here. I don't think there's any kind of contradiction. That's why I was asking Morty for an example of the observation that he had, because I don't understand what the supposed contradiction is.
P-Brain has a good video. It's an old one, Brandon, of actual pictures and video of light rays diverging as they come towards whoever's holding the camera, and then he looks 180 behind him, and they converge, going away.
That is a good video.
Now, I don't even know if those are light rays, but there's something you can. I don't even know. Can you see a light ray? Like, I'm not even sure if that's possible.
Yeah, they're not with light rays. You're right. That's just a.
I think my train track example. I think my train track example was a good depiction of a horizon on a flat surface. Because look, they say that the horizon you raise up and you see further because the Earth is curving. But why would that make the train tracks that are on the ground appear to diverge slower? You know, that shows you that it's a focal point lined up with your elevation. It's nothing more than a plane, a focal plane almost. The railroad track example of raising up and seeing that they don't actually converge. You can see further before they actually converge. Oh, there's a dead rat on my fucking lawn. Good cat. But it's all optical, man. I wish Flat Earth Data was here. He could elaborate on that shit.
The reason we see those, what are those lights that come through the clouds? Those are called crepuscular also, right? They come through the clouds and they seem to spread out over, let's just say a lake, right? And I can imagine I'd be at one of those spotlights on the lake, and Brandon would be at the other spotlight, and he's way far away from me. And then you have a third observer looking at those not rays, but you know what I mean, beams coming down, and they're not parallel. Like, it's just not, you know.
They're very close to being parallel.
Not at all, Rumpus. They come from the cloud.
No, they don't.
They diverge. They start their divergence.
No, they don't diverge. No, they don't. Have you not seen the video of someone showing you how parallel, just like it, you can see railway tracks. They appear to converge, but they don't. Similarly with the light, similarly with the light rays from crepuscular light rays, they seem to be converging, but they're not. But they are actually very close. They are very close to parallel. They're not quite parallel. They're
not converging to the sun.
Oh my god!
Rumpus.
They are converging to something of the sun, but they're
not converging to the
sun.
sun.
Oh my god! They're so close to being parallel, and just like a train track, they appear to converge.
Are they
like
not
a train
converging
track
to the sun, Rumpus?
Jesus Christ! I've no idea.
You're not going to answer the question.
I've no idea what you're saying because you just kept on interrupting me.
He's not going to help you, Rumpus.
Jesus Christ!
Slow down, guys. Let's not get into this interrupting shit. Just
God.
Go.
I was talking to Rumpus, right? So
No, you were interrupting me. Is what you were doing.
No, not me. That was the other guy. So Rumpus,
sorry,
you're saying that
sorry.
light rays or beams are made of cold rolled steel?
Is that what you're saying? Steel. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, moron.
Kind of. That's well, you're the one that made the
Physical,
analogy there
like
when I
train-
was talking about beams coming through clouds, right? Light beams.
Yes, light beams.
You know,
yes.
and they converge right at just above the cloud.
No, they don't. They converge 93 million miles away.
Okay.
Well, that's what you need to prove. What have
we
you
do.
got?
No,
Push that
we know
sun
how
out
far the sun is
further
away.
than where the triangle.
We can verify how the distance of the sun. That's where the light
No,
comes
you
from.
can't.
Therefore,
You haven't.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
No, you haven't.
And therefore, because we can do that, we know where the light is coming from. Therefore, we can say that's where those light beams are going to.
You guys don't even know what the sun is.
Yes, we do. We know exactly. Well, not exactly, but we know a large proportion of it.
Not really. I can give you a
Yes, we
citation
do.
for that.
There
I'll
are
give you a
people
The biggest
who
problem with you guys, you think you know everything.
professionally studying it.
It's documented.
Yeah.
I'll give you a
Oh, I'm
citation.
sure it is. There's a
we-
lot of stuff documented. L. Ron Hubbard documented a lot of stuff too.
No, he didn't document
Not
anything. He's a
tested,
novelist. He
Howard,
made
just
stuff up.
documented.
This is based on stuff
did
research.
Charles Manson.
We've got probes out there being close to the sun, and
We know
we've got
you've got
obviously
probes in Uranus,
we've got
Rumpus. We know.
spectroscopy analysis of the sun, and our models agree with it. So we know pretty much what the sun's up to. We don't know quite about the interior so much, but even there we know something about that because neutrinos.
Have these
Neutrinos.
probes
all right.
Neutrinos.
Okay. All right. Neutrinos. Yeah. We're interested on what we can figure out here on Earth.
Rumpus.
So if you want to talk
Yeah,
about
we
that.
can. We figure out this stuff from Earth. Yes, we can do. We do that.
Astro-
That's exactly what
Astro-
science does. Professionals in institutions who spend lots of money on stuff and are using a body of human knowledge and deductive powers and reasoning powers and the evidence from probes and things can work out quite a lot about what's
So
going
is the
on.
sun electric? Does the sun electric?
A little bit of critical thinking.
Not
Yes,
probes.
it's
surface-
all
no more
critical
probes.
thinking.
Is
No
the
more
surface of the
probes,
sun a
Rumpus.
black body? Is the surface of the sun a black body?
It's close to being a black body, but it's not a perfect black body.
Is it?
What does that
electric,
mean,
bro?
Don?
Is the
It's a
sun
black
electric?
body.
That means that it,
What?
Three people are
means-
talking. I have no
Okay,
idea what's being
quiet.
said.
Hold on, hold
It
on,
means
Don.
that
What does that mean? The sun being a black body? I don't know if a lot of
it
people
means
know
it
what that means.
it absorbs all electromagnetic
No, it
waves.
doesn't do that.
Yes,
It's
it
not a
does.
perfect body.
Yes,
No,
it does.
doesn't.
That's
No,
what.
it
That's
doesn't.
absolutely what black
No, it
bodies
does
do.
not.
They,
You are a
Yes, it
moron
does.
if you think
Yes,
they
it
so.
does.
don't.
No, it
They
doesn't.
don't
No,
bounce
it
back
does
up.
not. Go and
Yes,
look
it
up
does.
any source on the sun, and you will see that it is close to being a black body, but it is not one. Jesus Christ! Unless you go and read some
Do you have a
bloody
source,
superficial thing. Sorry.
Yep, I got you. Yep.
All right.
It'll if you've got a reference, then it'll be some toy reference for plebs.
We'll see what he's got, okay? And then we'll go from there. How about
I
that?
can show you a story. I can show. In fact, I'll show you the
black
in fact,
body
I've
is
got,
theoretical, people.
Here we go.
People,
I've got a
black
diagram
body
here somewhere of the absorption.
Brandon, I just sent you a DM. It's in there.
Right.
Hold on, a black body is idealized. It is not real. It's theoretical. It's
Well,
a way
that's
of modeling.
Yeah, that's true. But the point of the argument at hand is that how can you get the distance from the sun if you're shooting off electromagnetic waves to it? Light.
Yeah. Electromagnetic waves don't bounce off fire.
Most
No.
of it.
Yeah, it does. Bounces off the sun.
No,
Absolutely.
no, it's not. It's a black
Yes, it
body.
does.
It would absorb it. If it's a black body, it would
It
absorb
absorbs it, dude. It absorbs
No,
it.
it doesn't. If you go and look up any
Fire.
analysis, if you go and look up any professional analysis of the sun, you will see it's only close to being a black body, and there are certain frequencies.
Hey, guys,
Frequencies that it does not absorb. Jesus.
Hey, Rumpus.
What frequency can travel 2 times 93 million miles there and back?
Go get a source that says the sun's not a black body, and then we'll clear this up. John's looking for a source.
And also, find out while you're gone, is the sun electrical?
And while you're gone, find a source that says that radio waves bounce off fire.
The solar
Go ahead.
wind that gives off a charged particles. That's what you mean.
Is it electrical?
What do you mean? If you're asking me if it gives off charged particles, yes, it does. But it's not fundamentally electrical. Is it neutrally? In other words, is it? It's neutrally charged. I think.
It's a leak transformer.
Also, while you're at it, go find a source about if I were able to stand on the surface of the sun, how much would I weigh? I just want to know the gravitational.
I think it's about. It's
So
not,
just go find the source.
Oh my God! Can I answer your question?
Aaron, come on, man.
Yeah, let him answer. Aaron, let him answer. I got one more question.
I think if you were on the surface of the sun, I think your weight is something like 5 to 10 times more than on the Earth.
Okay, 1, what would my buoyancy be? 2, is the sun a star? If so, give me proof
Yes,
that
it is
it's
a star.
Give me proof that the sun is a star.
Well, it's made up of hydrogen. It's a plasma.
I don't care. I want you to bring me proof.
Well, what do you want to know about it to make it a star? What will tell you it's a star?
That thing that gets real close to me and I get burning ass fucking hot.
Yeah, but what would
every time it's
constitute proof
overhead?
for you? What would constitute proof it's a star for you?
Who's got the echo in the background? It's driving me
We
crazy.
define a star as being a body of essentially hydrogen that's burning through fusion, and that's exactly what the sun is doing.
Hydrogen does not emit full scale continuous spectrum. The sun is not hydrogen.
Yeah, but
we know that.
No, right. But hydrogen is not in its gaseous form. It's compressed, and therefore it behaves more like a solid. That's why it
gas.
Oh my God! Can I finish my sentence? And that's why, because it's so compressed and behaves more like a solid, that's why it emits more than just the hydrogen spectrum. There, go ahead.
So it's compressed hydrogen gas
very
that acts
dense.
like a solid. So it acts like a solid now. So show me solid hydrogen, Rumpus, and then we'll have this discussion.
It's it's
and
actually
solid
plasma
hydrogen
mostly.
giving off more than hydrogen. He's saying that because it acts like a solid, it gives.
It's not like hydrogen.
Superheated hydrogen as a solid.
Yeah, and it's
Go
also
ahead.
very compressed.
Superheated.
So
yeah.
It's not like, I mean, when we talk about gas theory in terms of spectroscopy, that's gas that's, where it's moving and it's not colliding very much. That's the definition of a
gas.
Oh my God, an ideal gas, by
Aaron, you gotta let
definition
him
has
finish.
been. Oh Jesus!
Sorry.
An
We
ideal
almost
gas.
made it, Brandon. We
Oh
almost made
my God! An ideal gas is one that's not spending most of its time with the gaseous molecules in collision. But in the sun, it behaves much more like a solid. They're constantly battering one another because it's so dense. It's so compressed.
Okay,
Go
Rumpus.
ahead.
Now, if I take a scuba tank, okay, and it's got 1 liter of gas in there, okay, 1 liter of gas in a just a regular size scuba tank. I don't care. You name the fucking size. I don't care. Now,
Well, hold on, I'm
I
confused
heat it up.
already.
Hold on.
Is it a liter gas
Now-
tank with a liter of gas in it, or is it
Very
is
good.
it a 2-liter gas tank with a liter of gas in it?
We'll call it a 1 liter tank, Rumpus, and it's got 1 liter of gas in it. Now,
Right.
I heat that gas up super hot, and I get a lot of pressure. Is there more gas in that tank when I heat it up and it has more pressure? Or if I cool it down and there's less pressure, is there less gas in that 1 liter tank?
No, same amount.
Okay, so what makes you think that compressed, just because gas is not as compressed up higher due to the colder temperatures, there's less of it up there?
When did I say that? Less of it up where? What are you talking about? When did I say there was less? I don't know where you're referring to.
You
When
were
you say up
talking about
there.
refraction yesterday. You were talking about refraction, and I
We've changed the
mentioned
subject,
that.
have we? Okay, we're now talking about something completely different. Okay.
Yeah, well, we don't know about the sun. We're all just guessing about that shit anyway.
Well, I was about to go and get you the black body diagram, but okay, let me. You know.
I gave you 2 citations, Brandon. One of them states that the sun is a black body. The other one of them states that the sun is a black body. The other one says that a black body does not reflect any light.
Yeah, it's not
they
a
need
black
it to
body.
absorb and reflect. That's why they're conflicting information.
Yeah, you're. That is for an educational site. That's not a proper source.
Can you source
It
it?
depends on the
It's
argument,
just an
Jeremy.
educational site.
I can show
It's
you
just
the
an
exact
educational
spectrum.
site. Are you serious?
Are you saying American
that's
Chemical?
not.
Are you saying American Chemical Society isn't a source?
Well,
black
I mean, I
body
don't know what they
double
regard.
speak, y'all.
It's not.
Oh, Rumpus.
You don't know what the sun
They
is,
need the
remember?
sun. They record the sun emitting
Oh,
full
we know
spectrum, so
what
they
it
need
is.
it to
You-
emit it, but they also
No,
need it to
they don't.
absorb it, and it depends on your argument, y'all.
So
EM waves
Jeremy
bounce
provided
off fire?
2 citations to back up his side. Rumpus, do you have any citations that refute this?
Yeah.
All right.
It's,
Did you get
it's
the one-
obviously a low quality citation.
No, he's just got a
Brandon, did you get the
nasally
one
They're not
voice
the
line?
highest, but that's okay.
Right. So here, okay, this will do.
Brandon also sent you the black body wiki. Well,
I had a point though, man. I had a point where I was going with that. Is Rumpus said that
Right.
the
Okay, let me share
refraction.
this.
Rumpus, you
me
said
share
that
this.
shit refracts down.
Give me a moment,
down-
Brian, so I can concentrate. I'll be there.
Yeah,
Give me a
yeah,
second.
yeah.
Give me a
All right,
second.
buddy,
Give me a second.
Apparently, you can fit 1 million Earths inside the sun. You know, according to their
He
model.
knows your point's going to be good.
Rumpus just
Right,
Okay,
so
I
here,
Rumpus
I have a
just told me-
citation from
Oh
NASA.
my
I have a citation from NASA saying the sun's a black body. Are they good enough?
there you go. There
well,
you
then
go.
Is
they're
NASA
talking.
good?
They're talking
Are
approximately.
they a high quality citation or
Then, but
what?
I bet they're talking. I bet this is
Bitch,
not the
you are a
specific. I
bitch.
bet that's
Trump
not.
just
If you
says
go and
things,
go,
right?
if you go to the proper part of NASA, I'm sure they'll give you the details and say it's close to being a black body, but it's not. Which give me the link. Give me the link, Jeremy. And I'll,
This is all
It's a
theoretical. shit.
near
I'd like to
perfect
talk about
black
something
body.
we can prove.
Where's
A
this
near
link,
perfect.
Jeremy? Where's this link?
Do EM waves bounce off superheated gas, namely
Rumpus claims
hydrogen?
over long distances, y'all. This is something we can prove or disprove.
Where's this
Okay,
link?
Rumpus claims that over long distances, that light bends downward, making shit appear higher, like the sun is already set. But in his
Yeah.
model, we were looking at it because light bends downward toward the denser medium. Okay, he thinks
Correct.
that pressure equals density. Okay, now if I take a balloon and it's got a liter of gas in it, and I cool it down in liquid hydrogen, it completely deflates. Is the air still in there, Rumpus?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so is there still air up there in the atmosphere where it's cold?
There's a lot less air. There's a lot less density of the air. Is much less.
But what's missing up there? The higher we get, humidity dies off, right? Humidity
Yes.
dies off to almost
Irrelevant.
completely.
Humidity's
So wouldn't it be
irrelevant.
okay? And liquid, okay, water vapor is less dense
Relevant.
than air, correct? Okay.
Less dense,
So
yeah.
as
Water
hold on, here's
vapor
my
is
whole point. Here's my whole
0.5% of the
principle.
atmosphere.
Let me get to my point. Okay,
Let me-
all the
let me make a
density,
point.
all the water is by the, especially the water surface, all the evaporated water, which is way less dense than air. It dies. I mean, as we get higher in the atmosphere, the percentage of water vapor dies off to almost zero when you get to a certain
Yes.
height.
Yes.
And we know that water vapor is way less dense than air. So
Yes.
to me, the light would refract away from the water vapor upward, make it here lower. Like that's how a sun would set on a flat Earth.
Are you right, Brian? Are you aware that the refraction properties of something is very closely related to its density, and the air at the ground level is much more dense than air as you go up? So therefore it's bent downwards.
Why are you attributing it to air pressure and not air density?
I am giving it to air density.
Oh no, you said there's a liter of gas in that bottle when it cools down still. You said there's still a liter in that balloon.
Yeah.
There's still a liter of air in that balloon. So what's the density of air?
How do you calculate
the density in that
over 100
bottle has
miles?
not changed.
What's the density of nitrogen, the density of oxygen? You think that just because there's more pressure, it's denser?
No, I don't. I never said that.
Why do you say that
said
light
it. You
bends upward?
strawman me with that. I never said
downward.
that.
I mean, why do you say light bends downward?
Because the density of the air near the surface of the Earth is much greater than the density, say, at Mount Everest. And there is a gradient. Can I finish my point? There's a gradient of density.
Back off. Give me a minute,
my
Rumpus.
God, there's a gradient where it's most dense at the bottom, near the Earth's surface, and there's a not quite straight line, but it's a sort of curve that goes up. And it follows this curve all the way to the upper atmosphere. And because it's more dense at the bottom, therefore, just like in the water tank, the sugar water tank will therefore bend down. Go ahead.
Okay, now you say, hold on. He says,
I got a good idea.
Hold on, goddammit.
I got a good idea. Rumpus, let's say that scuba tank. Let's say that scuba
I'm in the middle of a fucking point, dude. Are you serious?
Brian was in the middle of a sentence.
Man, you've had ages with Rumpus. I rarely come on. I'm
gonna make a fucking point, asshole.
Did you guys say the pressurized air is not?
Let Brian finish his point and then move on to whoever the other guy is trying to interject.
For God's sake, I'm almost fucking done. I can't even make my point.
Be quick about it, Brian. Then we can let
Fucking
this other guy join in.
Okay,
Quickly,
one
Brian.
more. So the point is, he says that the air is denser down by the. Okay, I will give him that there's more pressure, but
no, it's more dense.
What is more abundant down here by the ground is water vapor, which is way less dense than air. Okay,
No,
so
Bob,
the
how
light,
much of the air is
Brian,
the water vapor
Brian,
would
it's
have
like being
more
the bottom
effect.
of the. Brian, it's like being at the bottom.
The
of the
water
swimming pool.
vapor would have more effect on refraction
Yeah,
than
but
the air
Brian,
itself,
it's like
period.
being at the bottom of a swimming pool. We've got all the weight of all the air above us pulling down, and just like the bottom of a swimming pool, there's a greater weight down there. But because, of course, gas can compress and water doesn't, therefore it becomes more
Wait a
dense
minute.
because of the extra force.
You don't think
My whole point is water vapor is less dense than air, and that
Doesn't matter.
would
Yeah, but
cause
it's still got
more
all this air
refraction than
above it
air
that's pulling it down,
You
Brian.
say
Just like
an
at the
air
bottom of a water
gradient
pool.
would cause. You say an air
Right.
pressure gradient would cause refraction, and I call bullshit on that.
No, I
say
said it's
a moisture
density. You
gradient.
keep on assigning to me pressure, and I keep on telling you I'm talking about density. Where you got this
You
idea
say-
of pressure? I did not.
What's the density of oxygen? Is the density of oxygen higher at the ground than it is a mile
Yes.
up?
Because gases are
Show
compressible.
me. Give me a citation that oxygen is denser at the ground, not more pressure.
And, okay, I'll go and do. There's a
When the
Wikipedia. If you
pressure
go, right, Brian, while I'm
increases,
talking,
the
this up, there's another guy trying.
increases.
Brian, if you go and look up the atmosphere, you go and look at the Wikipedia page on atmosphere. I'll give you a link if you can't get it, and it shows you the density gradient of the atmosphere going up. If you just go and look at that, you'll
Okay.
see everything's
I thought
air
it was
is
a
denser. That
pressure gradient,
includes
Rumpus.
oxygen at ground level.
Is he actually saying
Rumpus,
that
I thought it was
pressurized
a
air is
pressure
not?
gradient.
No,
You're saying that
density gradient. Go and look at the atmosphere Wikipedia page, and it will show the density gradient, and it's
What
most dense
changes
at ground
besides
level.
the density? So
Sorry?
in water, we should see it's way more of a density gradient. So water is denser at the bottom of the ocean than it is at the top.
No,
which is
because it's not
nonsense.
compressible. Whereas air is, and therefore it's denser at ground
Okay,
level.
and
it's
what
higher
do
up.
we have? What do we have in the atmosphere at ground level and protruding as we get higher?
It
Moisture.
doesn't matter.
Okay?
It's denser. No, that's irrelevant because you've got all these other gas molecules above it pushing down, like happens in a swimming pool. Except that
Rumpus,
gas,
you could
the air,
never
the atmosphere can compress.
demonstrate
Therefore,
anything
it
except
becomes
what I'm
denser.
saying, bud. Water,
Look at the
moisture.
Look, Brian. If water could compress the bottom
Anyway,
of a
go ahead,
swimming
Aaron.
pool,
I'm done.
Brian,
I've
let
got
me
my
just
point.
finish my sentence, please. If water could compress at the bottom of a swimming pool, it would be much denser than at the top. But because water doesn't compress, it's no denser. But the atmosphere can compress, and that's why it's denser at ground level than it is higher up.
Rumpus, you said there's still a liter of gas in that 1 liter tank that was no pressure because it's so cold.
Yes, but that's because you've
said
got the
there's still a
fixed
liter
size
of gas in that
container.
balloon.
I'd like to address that.
How are you
Yeah,
attributing
go ahead,
it to
Aaron.
density?
Let's
It's
move
just
on.
pressure.
Go ahead,
So,
Aaron.
Rumpus,
Hello.
Brian Brian's tank he's talking about. Let's say it's a 5-liter tank, but it's clear, right? It's clear, and you pick the material it's made out of. Let's say glass, right? Just to be uniform. And Brian puts in 1 liter of gas. You pick the gas, right? Okay, and we put that tank at 14.7 psi, and we shoot a light through it, and you see the refraction, right? You see that refraction.
Well, if you put 1 liter of air in a 5-liter tank, it will expand to be 5 liters, and therefore it'll be less dense than it normally is.
But it's at 14.7 psi.
No, it won't be. If you put 1 liter of normal air pressure into a gas tank of 5 liters, it'll then be 1/5 of the pressure that it was, and it will also be 1/5 of the density.
I want to start at a control point, but I want to make sure that you know that this scuba tank Brian's talking about is clear, so you can shine a light through it and see the refraction, right? That's Snell's law 101, right? Okay.
Yes, it'd be less refractive because it'd be less dense. Because, as I said earlier, refraction is very dependent on density.
Now, let's heat that tank up. Let's heat the gas up.
Yeah.
Right. Let's heat it up. What happens? What are you saying is going to happen?
Nothing at all, because the density of the gas will not change because you've got a fixed container. Because you've got a fixed container. Oh my god. As you've got in a fixed 5-liter container, the density, you still got the same number of molecules. Oh my god, can I finish?
Hey, Aaron, you gotta let him finish, man.
Jesus Christ!
I don't want to hear it again, Brandon.
Oh my
Aaron,
god,
don't ask him fucking questions then. You know what you're gonna get and you ask him questions. You're gonna get the same
He's
fucking
not
thing.
acknowledging it though. I'm going to give you an answer. If you've got a 5-liter tank in which you put what was originally 1 liter of air, it will expand to fill that, and it will not change if you heat it up because the density is not going to change. You've still got the same number of molecules per. Oh my god! You've still got the same number of molecules per unit volume as you had before.
Rumpus.
Therefore,
Chill
the
the fuck out.
refraction will not change. Jesus.
All right, you got a response, Aaron?
God.
My question, Brandon, what wasn't about the amount of gas in the tank? It was about the pressure.
You're interested in the refraction.
All right, Rumpus, shut up so he can get his question clarified. Go.
I just want to know what if we heat up that tank with the same amount of gas in it. If we heat it up, what's going to happen to the pressure in that tank with that gas?
The pressure will increase, the density will remain the same, and the refractive properties will remain the same.
Really?
You don't sound so sure of that, Rumpus.
Atmosphere. Jesus Christ.
Now,
Right, go ahead, Aaron.
Now,
The density is dependent on temperature and pressure. You know that.
No,
right?
it's not in a fixed volume container. Whoever just said that idiotic thing.
Okay. Now let's say I cool it down all the way, and I didn't move my light going through there. My Snell's law.
Yeah, you've cooled it down. We got that. What next?
Okay, and you're saying if I cool it all the way down, that my output light there is not going to be refracted at all, whether with high
No, it'll be
temperature,
refracted exactly the same as it was when it was hot, because you haven't changed the density of the gas in your tank, because you've still got the same number of molecules in the tank as you had before. Therefore, the density is the same because that's mass over volume, and that hasn't changed because you haven't changed the volume.
Add water vapor. Now add water vapor. Then we get actual refraction.
You've just changed the gas, so you've changed the density,
which is what we experience in real life, Rumpus. You fucking idiot.
You moron! You don't seem to understand the
All
bottom
right.
of the atmosphere is dependent on those pressure and the density of the stuff above it. God,
Go
you're
ahead, Paige.
stupid.
Thanks, Brandon.
I was just wondering, when you talk about the weight of the air, imagine just one oxygen molecule and one helium molecule. Does gravity work the same? Does it have the same strength on both?
Yes.
No, the force is different, but the acceleration is the same.
The force is different. So what?
That's just like if you have a 10-kilogram weight, that the force of gravitation on a 10-kilogram weight is greater than a 1 kilogram. That's effectively what you're doing, because the helium and the oxygen, I can't remember what the other molecule said, are different masses. Therefore, the force due to gravity is different.
So
but the acceleration is the same. That's the thing about gravity.
Right.
You got to prove
That
the radius.
it pulls light things down with the same acceleration as heavy things. That's the unique feature of it.
Hey, Paige, I got a question for Paige. Which is heavier, a ton of feathers or a ton of bricks?
That's
So
a weird.
if,
That's a
Muted.
right there.
so if all we're doing is changing, all we're
Brian, chill.
One.
Which is heavier, a ton of feathers or a ton of bricks?
That's a ban. Ban that
I know.
stupid ass
That
question.
should be a ban. I'll add that to the rules.
That's to her question. Her question was about a single atom versus a lot of atoms, right? That's to her question.
I think it was two different atoms, wasn't it? It was two different atoms,
was
not an
Two
oxygen atom.
different singular atoms, Brenda. Why the fuck are you talking about feathers and bricks?
And I wasn't, talking to you, Brenda. So, butt out.
It's open. It's an open today.
I mean, did you
Yeah,
finish
and I
it?
had
Were you happy with my
specifically
answer page?
questioned
Don't really
somebody.
care.
Yes, thank you,
Don't
Rumpus
really
Kelly.
care.
Thank you.
Right, so the force on those two atoms are different because they're different masses, but the acceleration they're subjected to is exactly.
Yeah, I'm just getting different stories from different people, so I just wanted to hear what you.
Weight is acceleration. Weight is acceleration.
Weight is not acceleration.
No?
Weight is mass times acceleration.
Brenda, shut the fuck up.
And someone was asking about the black body thing. I think we were still there, weren't we? Unless anybody's Aaron was page wants to quiz me. I was trying to share that. I don't know if I've succeeded in doing that.
Well, you lost on the black body thing. The sun is. You lost on it. The sun is a black body.
Right, so it's not a black body. And Jeremy was going to give me the link to where he got this from. You can see that it's close to being a black body in this picture that I'm showing. Hopefully, am I sharing the damn thing? No, perhaps I'm not sharing it. Oh,
No, you're not sharing your screen if that's what.
Sorry, apologies. Right. Right, so
Brandon, check the last screenshot I gave you. It's NASA saying that the sun is a black body.
Can you give me the link, please, Jeremy? I keep on asking you for this, and you're not giving it to me.
This
so
one?
here is while Jeremy gets this link for me. Here's the spectrum of the sun, and it's close to being a black body, as you can see. But it's not a black body, but it's close to being it. And so there are certain frequencies, which are the frequencies you choose to bounce off the sun to measure its distance.
Is that spectrum taken through, like from Earth, like through the atmosphere? Where's that spectrum?
One of them is the yellow one is without atmospheric absorption.
It absorbs all color of light, Rumpus.
No, it doesn't. There are.
Yes,
it does. That's what a black body does. Yes, that's what a black body does.
It's not a black body. It's
not
a black body.
I got NASA saying it's a fucking black body. Hold on.
It's not a perfect black body. Give me the link to it, god damn it!
Dang.
Where's the link for this, Jeremy? And I'll show you you're wrong.
It's a near perfect black body.
Oh god, Jeremy, why can't Jeremy provide me this link? Put it in the chat. Put it in general. Put it wherever you want.
What do you mean? You've been
according to this diagram,
body.
according to this diagram, it is not. It's not a perfect black body. Don, you just said it's a near perfect black body.
Yes, near perfect black body.
Which means you pick on the frequencies which it is not absorbing in.
It still absorbs all color of light.
No, it doesn't. There are frequencies it does not absorb, and those are the ones you pick. I think it's something like 5 gigahertz or something, or 3 gigahertz. Or was it megahertz? Oh, bugger, I can't remember.
Brandon, I sent you the screenshot. I can't find the link again right now.
Brilliant.
But I sent you the screenshot.
Rumpus concealed 5G right there. 5 gigahertz.
So anyway, there are certain frequencies the sun does not absorb, and those are the ones you use to bounce off it.
So let's see what NASA says here, Rumpus. As with all matter, the sun emits a black body spectrum. That is defined by its surface temperature. A black body spectrum is the continuation of radiation at many different
It's only
wavelengths
approximate.
that
Yeah,
is
there's
emitted
obviously
by
given
any
an
body with a
approximation.
temperature above absolute zero.
Lost, Rumpus. Face
Right
it.
there.
No, it's
Absorbs
not.
all
No,
color.
pay attention, Julie.
This is
You
just
are
an
a black
approximation.
body. According to NASA, you are a black body. If you choose to, the sun is a black body.
What are you
Say
talking
something
about?
coherent. Or I'm
Did you
muting you.
listen to what you
Dude,
read?
what?
What is a black body radiation? Everybody above absolute zero.
Yeah, above
You are
absolute
above
zero. That's what
absolute
they
zero.
say. Yeah.
You are a black body, Edge.
Yeah, I also provided the graph in that ACS document, the American Chemistry Society document, where it shows that it's not a perfect black body. It's the closest thing we know to a perfect black body, but the sun is not a perfect black body. It's just that simple. There's many sources. I posted other ones in the chat. Kind of silly having this argument.
Yeah, what is this? Why is this a point of contention anyway? Why are People arguing this
because they claim to be shooting radar off the sun,
Exactly.
which the sun doesn't do that though. It absorbs it. It doesn't.
No, it
It doesn't
doesn't.
reflect it back. It emits its
Yes,
own
it does.
radiation.
Yes, it does.
Oh, the sun emits its own radiation.
Yes,
and it absorbs any radiation
it
or
doesn't
light
emit
that you send at it.
radiation at these frequencies. There are certain frequencies it does not radiate at, and those are the ones you pick. Approximately, I mean, if you were to ask just a general question to some NASA scientist, say, is the sun what? They're going to say, is an approximation? Yes. So that's going to be their first answer. So say, do you really mean it's absolutely a perfectly black body? And then they'll say, oh, no, it isn't. But their first level response, first order response will be to say, yes, it is. And if you were to ask me, just on the street or something, say, is the sun a black body? I would say yes. But then you say, it's an absolutely perfect body. Then I'd have to say no, because it's close to being one. So the first order response you're going to get from people who just don't realize you really want the detail is going to be, yes, it's a black body, but it actually is not a perfect black body, and you make use of the fact that it's not a perfect black body to bounce stuff off it.
Okay. How many times has someone walked up to you in the street and asked you if the sun's a black body, Rumpus?
Well, I obviously I move in different circles.
Okay.
According to Einstein, it's a black body, right? Special relativity, when Venus was supposed to be behind the sun, but then it moved a little bit further away, and the Venus's alleged light fucking reached Earth, right?
What are you talking about? What? Well, tell me what you're talking about. Give me a citation link or whatever it is to some comment by Einstein.
Well,
I mean, it could be the circumstances he's talking about.
Are you talking about the Eddington? Are you talking about the Eddington?
Maybe it's Eddington. My bad.
What's that got to do with Venus? Oh my God! He can't even get a
Shut up.
A
light behind the fucking sun was supposed to be there even when it was away from the sun, but the sun
was a
sucked in its
star.
light.
It wasn't Venus.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay,
my God.
yeah, a light. I said a light. Whatever. It was supposed to be behind the sun, and the sun's gravity and black body sucked it in.
Yeah, nothing to do with being a black body. The black body's irrelevant. What's the black body got to do with this? This is all to do with general relativity. It's got nothing to do with light from the sun. My God. You don't even understand the thing you're critical at all. I mean, you don't have any understanding of this subject, do you?
Relax.
Well, I mean, honestly, what an idiot.
I got it all wrong, but don't worry about it. It's still
You got it all wrong. Yes, every part of what you said was wrong. Except
tell
for the
me about
sun
it, Rumpus.
the sun.
Tell me how the sun absorbs, its gravity sucks light to it, and then we came up with.
That's what general relativity is: the bending of light by masses.
So,
hey, Rumpus, or anybody, I got a question for you guys. How much does the sun's light slow down due to temperature or speed up?
Doesn't change.
Huh?
The speed of light doesn't change in a vacuum.
So
doesn't
it
matter what
does
the sun's doing.
Can a vacuum be hot or cold? Can there be a hot or cold vacuum? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the radiation through it determines what. If you were to put a thermometer in a vacuum that's being subjected to a very bright light, very hot light, it would pick up that radiation. So a vacuum, when we only talk about vacuum in terms of the material in it, so we remove all the gas molecules, etc.
What's
But you can still have light.
Is there gas?
What's a hot light?
Is there gas between us and the sun?
That's the atmosphere, but after that, almost none.
When does the atmosphere end? How high?
Well, we sort of define it as being 100 kilometers high.
But really, there's gas at 101 kilometers, right?
Yeah, just a tiny bit.
And 102, and 100, and all the way up.
Even less.
Yeah, I mean there are gas molecules. Hold on, there are hydrogen molecules in space. I mean, it's not a perfect vacuum, but I think in space, in between us and the sun, it gets down to something like one hydrogen molecule per cubic meter, which effectively we can ignore.
You think, or like, is this settled?
Well, I can't remember the exact. It's close to being one. It's close to being one hydrogen atom or molecule. I can't remember which now. I think it must be molecule in space per cubic meter.
Yeah, that's a pretty good vacuum. That's a really good vacuum.
Yeah, it's better than the vacuum that we can create on Earth. Yeah.
Nonetheless, there's gas there, and it has a temperature.
It has no effect on the speed of light.
So what? Well, what about the sun shooting off water, H2O?
Doing what? Sorry. Where's this water?
Is there a temperature? Is there a temperature
Right here.
in space?
The sun is spraying water into space.
Yeah, the fountains, rivers. Is that it? Are they rivers?
Well, I thought we were worrying about the speed of the sunlight. We're not worrying about the speed. Remember, the speed of light in air is almost the same as the speed of light in a vacuum.
Okay, what's the temperature in space, Rumpus?
Depends where you are. If you're close to the sun, it's very hot.
The temperature is changing now. Answer Brandon's question about the temperature and the light.
Well, if you're, for instance, if you're on the dark side of the moon, it's very cold, and if you're on the front side of the moon facing the sun, it's quite warm.
And between us and the sun, there's temperature changes.
Yeah, it gets
right?
warmer. Yeah, the radiation, which determines what the temperature is. In effect, if you hold
It's
up a
warmer,
thermometer,
colder, warmer, right?
yeah, it get warm. Yeah, if you held up a thermometer,
Warmer,
oh
colder,
my
warmer.
God,
a
can I
bunch
finish
of
my
times.
sentence? If you get a thermometer and you were to hold it up and face it towards the sun, as you went towards the sun, that thermometer would show an increasing temperature. Okay.
On Earth, sure. How about the moon?
No, in space.
On space. Where does the other heat go?
Where were you going
Where
with
does
that,
what
Brandon?
heat go?
I was just curious. I was asking
I thought
just
you
a
were.
question. I
It's a
have
general
no
question,
idea.
That's fine, yeah.
Where does the heat go? Does
Where
it
does what
radiate
heat
away?
go? What
You're
heat
talking
are you talking about?
The heat that's hitting my thermometer is only obviously only the heat I'm getting from this light, right?
Yeah.
And as I get closer to this fucking light, I get more and more heat, right?
Yep.
Where's the rest of the heat going? How come it diminishes as you get
past
closer?
you.
Where's
Right.
it going?
Right. Where's
It's
the
nothing
square
to
law.
do for it to
Are you talking about
diminish
the heat
as we're
of
in
the
space,
thermometer?
bro.
Sorry,
Are you
are
familiar
you
with
talking about the
inverse
heat of the
square law?
thermometer, the temperature of the thermometer?
Yes, that's what he's talking about.
Right. You do know there are 3 ways that things can lose heat, don't you? Do you know the 3 ways?
Convection, radiation, and
Yes. So it
conduction.
radiates. Everything that has a temperature radiates energy away.
Brandon.
Only through a medium. That's
No,
why
it
you have
doesn't. No, it's in
convection,
space. No, if you
conduction, and
stuck, if you
radiation.
stuck, no. If you stuck a hot object in a vacuum, it will radiate things according to Stefan's law, and it will radiate its heat away.
Hey,
Oh
Brandon.
God,
Sir.
you moron!
We're talking about the vastness of space, not a little fucking 1 by 1 cubic.
It doesn't matter. If you're in a
chamber.
vacuum, you can radiate your heat away. That's what we call radiation.
So
That's why.
So the
if you
outside
were,
of that vacuum chamber should be hot as fuck, right? If the heat's being radiated away from the vacuum, you're shooting a light in there. I should burn my hand on the glass.
No,
container called the vacuum chamber, right?
Brandon, I sent
sorry,
you a link.
burn your hand if you do what?
Can you check it out?
You sent me a
Rumpus,
link.
you make
look
no
at this.
sense, bro.
A
Look
link
like
to
this.
your
If
PM.
you're
Check
double
it out.
glazing, if your double
about what
glazing
we're
had a
talking about.
vacuum, if your double glazing had a vacuum in it, and I shone a powerful laser through one side and you were on the other side of the glass, it would still happily go through it.
Through a vacuum chamber.
Yeah, through a vacuum, yeah. Or the other, or from the moon.
And
If
double-
the
double
moon is
glazing
there's a vacuum
glass.
between us and the moon, and we can fire lasers at the
And
moon,
you're gonna-
and would
we're
bounce
gonna
like
put a
that.
thermometer. We're gonna put a thermometer inside this unit. You know, this vacuum chamber, and we'll pull the
Yeah.
best vacuum we can on Earth. I mean,
Yeah.
gee whiz, just
Yeah.
suck that shit out, right? And you're gonna
If we
shoot it at the thermometer too, and my hand in the background, right? And
Right,
you're
so we've
saying
got
that
to-
I'm gonna basically my hand will be burnt, but the thermometer
When did I
won't.
say that? When did I say you? So let's get this situation sorted. So we've got a vacuum chamber with a thermometer. What else have we got in the vacuum chamber?
Nothing.
So we've got a thermometer in a vacuum chamber, and we're shining a light from outside the vacuum chamber, focused on the thermometer. Is that what you wanted to consider?
Pretty high.
There's a dead mouth.
Is that what is that the scenario you're talking about?
There's a dead mouse in my yard. Good
There's a
job.
dead mouse in the vacuum chambers, just so the audience knew that it actually was the vacuum.
And a candy wrapper that someone threw in there.
This is the dumbest thing I've ever tried to talk about. So I'm gonna.
You're a moron, yeah, absolutely. You're very stupid. You're talking about dumb things, yeah, absolutely. We all agree with that, yeah, definitely. I suggest you stop embarrassing yourself.
I had respect.
I mean, the fact you don't know how radiation works is extraordinary to me. The fact you don't understand that bodies can radiate heat in the vacuum. I mean, that's just. I mean, did you ever go to school? I mean,
Jeremy just asked you if radiation
all
happens
right.
in a vacuum. You said no, but then there's particles. Oh no, there is hydrogen at
what's
250 miles.
particles got to do with radiation?
Question and the answer,
That's what radiation is.
What
Yeah,
the
hold on.
hell are you talking about?
Are you guys done?
Objects
Because
radiate things
we have
through
a subject
vacuum.
here.
Heat is radiation. Heat is radiation.
Hey, Silent Zero's got a something that he's found. Silent Zero, what's up, man?
No, it's just the question is why we cannot directly measure the sun, the distance to the sun with radar.
Yeah, this is on
Anything
Stack
there?
Exchange, and it says, why can we not measure the distance to the sun directly using radar? What is the reason for that?
Well, the answer is down there.
Rumpus, Rumpus, I sent
The
you.
answer is down below.
It's just like right there, black.
This one right here, or which one did you think
No,
was a
no,
good?
but down.
What was that,
Scroll down.
Brenda?
I sent you a link about.
There's a question, Brandon. Go down.
Okay.
Scroll down.
All the way down. I'm underneath the article now.
No, I cannot see on the screen on YouTube. I cannot see if you're scrolling down.
Oh no,
I mean, there are several-
I'm sharing on Discord.
I mean, I can show you papers on this. In
The
the
strength of
1960s,
the
was
radar
first time-
signal falls rapidly with distance. So for objects within the solar system, we are dealing with very faint reflected signals. That's a problem. The problem with the sun is that it's a very strong emitter of radio waves, and this black body background completely swamps the radar reflection.
There you go.
Oh, they're wrong.
Case
Well, they're
closed.
wrong.
That's interesting.
Case
That
closed.
is
You've
who's
got to
wrong
pick
here.
on the particular.
This is
Yeah, he's
John
wrong.
Rennie. Let's see what his background is. My
Can I-
career
can I
in science
read
started
something?
with a degree in natural science at the University of blah, blah, blah. Then I did a PhD at Cambridge in photochemistry, solid state photochemistry. That seems like it's relevant. So
Yeah, but he doesn't know.
this guy's an idiot, Rumpus, or
But he's
what?
obviously not familiar. He obviously is
I
not
rest
familiar
my
with the
case.
fact there are specific frequencies you can use. I mean, not all scientists are experts on
Then
everything.
Rumpus just dismisses anything like that,
You're
right?
lying, Rumpus. Right
No.
here, even black holes
He's
are
not
near
a
perfect
specialist
black
in this
bodies.
subject.
Listen,
You don't think this
Well,
guy
well, all right.
is
What do you
using
want? Give me the link.
sources
What's
that
the
are
link
from
to
the
this?
body of
Give me the
science?
link. Give me the
Does he
link.
have a different
Can you
body
show
of
me the link?
science than you?
Give me the link. Give me the link. See
Sure.
what this guy's up.
Sure, you want to check
Rumpus,
the
the
guy out
higher
or
the
what?
frequency, the lower the distance. You know this. Okay.
Nice find, Silent Zero. That's interesting.
Can I
He's
read
got it wrong.
something?
thanks, Silent Zero, for helping me.
Yeah, can I read something? Can I read something? Can I read something? This is
Yeah.
this is from a link that I sent to Rumpus. It says probing the solar corona using radio waves is possible at frequencies between 15 megahertz and 50 megahertz. The reflection process may be compared to short waves reflected from the top side of the Earth's ionosphere. In terrestrial shortwave, so it bounces off of upper levels of the sun.
Well, what about this right here when it says
Yeah,
black hole?
post the
Listen,
link, post
listen,
the link,
listen, listen.
Brenda.
Clearly
What it
states
says
in the
right
paper
here.
it never reaches the surface of the sun.
Yes, right. So here, even
mean-
black
Far
holes,
away.
even black
Scientists
holes are near
make
perfect black
mistakes,
bodies.
and this guy, if he said
Holy
that
shit.
you can't bounce radio waves off the sun, he's
Dog,
just
get out of
wrong.
here, Rumpus.
Because
You're just
there's
making
a whole
stuff up.
paper. There's a whole paper on this.
Is
There-
there
this
any
has been done
time that
numerous
you guys are
times.
gonna admit to something that you guys said is wrong? Is there actually any time that you guys are gonna do that?
Nope.
No
Doesn't
matter
seem like
what
This
we
guy-
show to you guys, from
This guy is
whomever
wrong.
is coming from, you guys just dismiss it. It's,
So
if
let me
it's
get this
near
right.
the best
When a
science and it
scientist
doesn't fit
says
your
something,
narrative,
you
he's
hold on.
a
Are you going to
dumbass.
accept?
If he's
Are you
another
going to accept the
PhD
words
guy,
of any
he's a
scientist? then?
dumbass.
Are
You
you
guys are
going to accept
retarded.
the words of any scientist? Then is that correct? You're now saying you're going to believe a scientist, whatever a scientist says, it's always right. Is that what you're going to say?
Nope.
More
Right.
than
So
you,
in other
yeah.
words, right, and
More than
indeed,
you,
we've
yeah,
got
more
an
than you,
example of a
yes, of course.
scientist who said something wrong.
All right,
What
we'll leave it
scientist?
at that.
Huh?
We'll figure out which scientist is lying tomorrow.
No one's
It is
lying.
8
He's obviously
o'clock.
made an honest
I'd like to
mistake
thank the
because-
panel for joining the show. I will be recording the after show. It's usually recording all night, just so you're aware. Thank you everybody for making it a good show. It was a good show, and
Thank you, Brandon. Can I unmute Brian? Thank you, Brandon.
Guys,
oh yeah. His mic was open. That's the only reason I had him muted. Go for it. Anybody have any closing thoughts that they want to get out, especially those who didn't get to talk a lot during the show?
Yeah, I just want to say good show. This is Mr. Grimm. Good show. You got a good turnout today. Good job, buddy.
Oh yeah, thanks, Graham.
I like your approach there, Brandon. At least trying to keep it calm. You know, just hey guys, we can have a conversation for the first 2 hours or whatever. You know, but at the end, you know, it always gets a little bit heated. But especially when Rumpus comes in. I mean, man, dude.
It's only when I get over talked. I mean, if I'm not
But
overtalked, I'm
but
quite
thank you,
calm.
Brandon. But
Final
sorry,
words.
Rumpus, you're over talking again. Jeebus.
You,
But
you
thank
are the one who
Brandon.
speaks the most, Rampus.
Thank
You're
you,
the
Aaron.
one who speaks the most.
That
You bet,
might be
Brandon.
true.
All right, guys,
I
I'll be
accept
back.
That might be true.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, Brandon. Thank you.
Okay.
To make the outro shit.
Well, don't worry. Those guys will be talking at 5 a.m. this morning still. So thank you, everybody. Hope you enjoyed today's show. And we'll see you tomorrow. check the listings. You'll get the notification on whether there's a show or not, but there probably will be. And have a good night, everybody.